Also adjusting my camera too.
Yeah.
All right. We are live. Late, but live. We had a consistency streak of 1.
Yeah.
Um, there's actually a clip I saw yesterday scrolling through Reddit. It's like some small like hip hop podcast from like out of like Long Island. I don't know the whole context, but there was like some dude was just on the podcast. It was just like wild. And he was like, "Yo, if anybody talk bad about me, blah blah, like nobody's ever took a swung on me in like 4 years, whatever, blah blah blah." And there's this one dude just sitting on the couch, just posted up. And then all of a sudden, as soon as he said, like, nobody's ever even tried to even put their hands on me, like in like 4 years or whatever, like that, the dude on the couch just gets up and goes for like an uppercut on the dude as right after he says that, and then just starts like swinging on him. And again, there's some context. I think he was talking about like I think his cousin or something like that, and I think he was locked up or something like that. I don't know the full context. They're not like a really big podcast, but uh it just made me think of that moment as we were talking about just
At
timing.
least it's
And
nothing that epic. Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
you
We're
know.
just late for being late. But um I'm gonna start off with my Sunday Percy. And my Sunday Percy is going to be a bit of an update. Personally, I've been talking about this back from the movies, kind of
Mhm.
diary, journal, podcast, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna get that started soon. I think it's just having this podcast up and running has made it a lot easier to kind of, you know, mind shift,
Yeah.
and prioritize that. But I do want to give a bit of a update on some of the movies that I've seen over the past couple weeks and this week as well. So one of 'em I wanted to talk about was Deadpool and Wolverine. And a quick thought on this, and this is more of an update. I think the more I've sat with that movie, I think there's two ways that you can grade this movie. And I think where I'm grading it as is obviously there's the nostalgia aspect of the movie and how it kind of hits all the right notes as we kind of talked about. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but I do think if you look at this movie as a superhero movie, which obviously it's a superhero movie, right? Like you got to go beyond that. And so like what is the genre of this movie? And most Marvel movies try to do this, right? It's like not only it's a superhero movie, it's really another genre of a movie that we're kind of diving into. Like Captain America and Winter Soldier is a action
Spy thriller.
thriller, spy
Yeah.
thriller, right? And so like it's more than it is a superhero movie, even though it's a superhero movie. Deadpool and Wolverine is your classic, and we haven't had this in a while, R-rated comedy. It's like super bad,
Yeah.
right? It's like like two dudes just kind of just raunchy R-rated comedy, adult comedy.
Hmm.
And like we haven't had that in a while. A lot of it's just being overtaken by yes, Marvel movies, but like they just kind of get glossed over with this huge superhero epic. But if you just kind of look at it as the genre of the movie, as just like, okay, this is just a raunchy R-rated comedy that just so happens to be like Wolverine and Deadpool. It's a great movie. Like we talked about, if you mix it in with the superhero elements of it, of like the Marvel, the MCU, and how does it make sense, and like what is the TVA right now? Where is Ravonna Renslayer? Because the last time we saw her, she was holding like Eliath and stuff like that. Like you start picking out the holes in the story, and you're like, all right, this is not as good as it probably is, and I can see somebody grading this as a 6. But other than that, like I see it, I can see both ends of it, but I appreciate the movie, so I really enjoy it. I'll leave you on that, but I have one more movie I want to talk about. But did you have any thoughts on Deadpool and Wolverine since we last
Yeah, just as a
talked?
quick response, obviously, you knew I went to go see her my first time with you. So I wholeheartedly agree with that. It's you can rank it two ways, like just super fandom or, just surface level movie. And
Yeah,
yeah, like I remember when I immediately told you coming out, I was like, my feeling coming out of that movie as a super fan was like, all right, that's like a 9, just because of like how condensed all the references and all the jokes are and everything like that. But yeah, you strip that part away. If I'm not an invested fan, the story's pretty freaking convoluted. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like that's a bunch. So yeah, that's where I would say.
Like
I think
I like
it would be like a 6 or even
Cassandra
a five and a
Nova.
half.
I like Cassandra Nova, the character.
Hmm.
The story was a little like
Yeah, yeah,
unfleshed out. So that one, I still enjoy the movie. I gave it a 4 on Letterbox, and I thought about going to 3.5, but I was like, that's where the nostalgia kind of kicks in, and I'm like, man, some of the stuff that we saw in that movie, I was like, man, that was
yeah. That
just
sits at
awesome.
4. That sits at 4. Yeah.
So, the other movie I saw this week, I saw 2 movies this week. One of them was Kneecap. Definitely recommend watching that. That's a
Okay.
really good movie. It's like about this, it's like based on a true story, I feel like, but, this Irish group, and you know how we were watching back at Clash of Castle, and we were asking, does, like, Scotland have a language?
Yeah, yeah,
Ireland is the same thing. It's like, oh, you think they just speak English, and it's like, nah, like there's an Irish language, and it was actually being trying to be get they were trying to do away with it.
mm,
And there's like, a small group of people within the country that were like, yeah, let's like, this is our culture, this is our history. You can't just like eliminate it from
yeah,
society like that. Like, um, so through the powers of hip hop and Irish hip hop, and they mixing the language with the music, it kind of started everybody to kind of respect the language again and like start learning it. And then I think 2022, 23, they made it back, they put it back into law as like an official language of Ireland, and the protected language. It's
oh,
like
okay.
it was damn near extinct. So that was Kneecap. The other one is Trap.
Yeah,
You've seen the commercials for Trap, the M
yeah.
Night Shyamalan.
I remember seeing the original teaser, and it's like
Man,
a father and daughter basically going to the Taylor Swift show, and there's like some guy that's like trapped in a basement somewhere, I guess, and like the
yeah.
whole show is a trap for the killer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I picked
yeah,
that up.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so it's like, okay, I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, maybe they gave away too much because it seems like a really dope premise.
Hmm.
It is a very interesting movie, and I've had a wave of emotions about like how I feel about this movie. And it
Okay.
ranges, and you know my scale, right? Like
Yeah.
how I like to grade shit. This ranges anywhere from this some old bullshit to a well, what was it? A stream stream it
Oh yeah.
later. Stream it later.
Yeah.
It's a fun rewatchable. It's like it's so ridiculous, but it doesn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so it's like if you don't take the movie, like if you're able to kind of like laugh along with the movie, because it feels like it's part of it knows it's kind of being ridiculous at points. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, like this is kind of a fun movie because there is points in the theater where we're all laughing of how like ridiculous this stuff is.
Yeah.
Even the way they leave you at the end, you're just like, man, it makes you just want to be like, man, F this movie.
Yeah.
But then it's just like, I think I might come back for part two. Like,
Hmm.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where it's just like there's parts of this movie that like I'm like, yo, F this movie. But then there's parts of this movie I'm like, I want to give you a bad grade. And I want to give you a good grade, but you're telling me you really want a bad grade. That's how I felt the
Yeah.
entire movie was. I was like, man,
Okay.
this is like a 2.5. This is like a 3. I ended up giving it a 2.5. But I was like, man, I really wanted to give this a 1.5.
Mm,
But I think this is going to be a very popular movie for that reason. Especially when it
okay.
comes to streaming, it's going to be like, yo, Trap is ridiculous
Okay.
in like the most ridiculous ways. Like you're just like, this would never happen, but this is ridiculous. But
Yeah.
Josh Hartnett kills it. He kills it.
Okay. Yeah. When I first saw him in the trailer, I was like, oh, that's cool. Like instantly recognized him, just once again make him realize that how old we are. That
Yeah,
like
right.
everybody's playing parents and shit. But
He was in
I mean,
Oppenheimer
knowing how
last year, so he's making a little comeback.
yeah, knowing how M. Night Shyamalan is, like just watching the teaser, I was like, all right, the daughter's the killer. So there's your twist.
No, they tell you who it is in the trailer. Josh
Oh, do
Hartnett
they?
is the guy.
Oh, okay. I figured maybe it was just like, I don't know. It don't matter. I figured
There's other
that was
twists.
so
There's
obvious
other
on the
twists.
surface.
It's a M
Yeah.
Night movie, so there's
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
other twists, but like
Of course.
it is what it is. So that's back from the movies. We'll get that live soon, but I'll make this maybe a possible like bi-weekly reoccurring thing.
Hmm. All right,
Mr. Percy.
for my Percy, it's just the goddamn Olympics are here. I was
Yeah.
listening to this to Six Trophies, and they were super excited. Jason Concepcion and Shea Serrano, and I'm stealing one of his athletes. Like after hearing him like go on his little rant, I was like, I gotta check out this performance. But yeah, obviously every Olympics history is made. Right now, uh, our women's 7-on-7, we got our first medal ever in the bronze, and I wish I could remember her name
7-on-7
off the
what?
top. In rugby,
Okay. Oh
7-on-7.
yeah, I
Did
saw
I not
that.
say that? Oh, okay.
You just said 7-on-7, so I'm like
Yeah. My
7-on-7 could
bad.
be
Yeah,
anything.
7-on-7 rugby. We got our first medal
Is that
ever
the
as
one where
America.
like girl the woman she just like trucked through at the
Bruh,
last
Derrick
second
Henry. Derrick
and
Henry.
yeah,
That's
it
all I was
went like
like,
95 yards. I was just like, gee.
immediately I had flashbacks of Derrick Henry versus my Jags. He
Yeah,
does
when he
that like once a year, like ripping off a 90-yard tutty. And then that's
yeah,
exactly what she did. And she was sliding when she got out in the open field. I was like, oh, it's a wrap.
yeah, it
And
was
she did
done.
it with like, it was a walk-off too on top of that. She scored
Yeah,
that as time expired.
yeah.
Like, it was just like, all right, let's go, America. Um, yeah, Steven Nadrazik. I guess he's the one that Shay had his little rant about how America, we're staring down the barrel of fifth place, but we got this as small, skinny as you could imagine an American gymnast being in the Olympics. He was like the typical nerd. He got these thick ass glasses on. He's wearing
Yeah.
them right before he gets on the pommel horse and takes them off.
I think
And
I was just hearing about this dude on Today We Explain. They were talking about men's gymnastics, and so I think this
bruh,
might be the guy. Yeah.
yeah, I watched it. I watched the performance, and it's one of those things like in the Olympics is obviously we have no like bar for measure of like what's good and what's not as you're actually watching it, other
Yeah.
than oh, did they land the thing? But that might have been the first time I watched the pommel horse, and I was like, my nigga killing this shit. I was like, killing this. He was bodying that pommel horse.
That's the
Like,
only thing he's there for is to
yes,
do
literally, he
pommel
is a specialist and he doesn't do
Yeah.
anything else. Like, that's why I was like hearing Shay's rant. I was like,
Yeah.
I gotta watch this. But yeah, it's
I was
worth it.
just listening to that this morning as I was driving. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, word.
And
Yeah, I saw some clips of DMV local Bethesda, Katie Ledecky just being a dolphin.
bruh.
Like it's ridiculous. Like it was like, and these are highlights that I'm not like. It's the highlight because I'm watching it afterwards. But it's like this the whole swim meet. She won by like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
It's wild. 20 seconds.
They're like, there's only two graphics of her that you need to see, and it's like the one that they put up about like her in the 1500 meter, and it's just she's the top 20 times all time in history, and so obviously she just owns that. And then the other graphic of like just how many miles she swam since like training, because she first debuted as a 16-year-old or a 15-year-old, I think, when she first won the event, and she has almost circumnavigated the globe. Like she's at 23,000 miles just like in competition, which I'm like, Jesus, that's a lot of water. But
it's crazy, like how good she is.
Yeah, it like the bar is just so fucking far above anybody else. And lastly, I just wanted to mention that our men's basketball, we've been shaky figuring out the kinks, and currently we are playing a very tight game to Puerto Rico where we're only up by one. 33 to 32 or 34-33. Yeah, it's on right now.
Okay. Like I said, I got Too Fast and Too Furious on the back.
Yep.
So I can switch it if I want to. I also
Yeah,
wanted
we
to
get
call out the women's gymnastics team. Well, because like men's basketball, I'm just like, okay, it's cool to like have all these NBA players, but it's like, go do your job. Like, like do your job. I mean, like, if you don't win gold, then like that, then we gonna have this whole discussion about like what were y'all doing? You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like,
obviously.
and it's unfair to them because like really, even if they win gold, like the real conversation is like, how good was it relative to the past, NBA dream team Olympic teams that we've sent over that have
Hmm.
won gold, right? Like, is this the dream team? And it's like, yo, like, I, eh, men's basketball is an interesting thing. I'm more intrigued by like, I'm glad that they're being, there's actually competition against them, and it's not them just like slacking. I don't think that's the
Yeah,
case. I do think it's just like, okay, like, what are we doing as a team that like we still should have this advantage, but like, so what are we doing that like we are not winning gold?
yeah,
But um, I wanted to call out women's gymnastics because they just got gold again.
yeah. Sure
You
did.
know, Simone Biles, Suni Lee, and those are obviously the big names that we know. But then there's other names. I think is Jordan Childs on that as well. Or is
Jordan
that a previous
Childs.
name? Yes.
Yeah, yeah. She's still on
Um,
there.
you see the beef that was happening with
No,
that?
no.
Oh yeah, so there was I think her name's like Michaela Spinner, like that.
Hmm.
She was on the Olympic teams on when they went to Tokyo last time in 2020, I guess. And she had made some type of comment on a podcast talking about how like besides Simone, the rest of the team lacks talent, undisciplined, and lazy, and they probably won't do well.
Uh,
And
so
so
she's hating from the sidelines, basically. That's what
that,
it sounds like.
yeah. So
She
that was
hating
that
from
was
the
made that
sidelines.
was made
Cool.
before the comment before the Olympics and whatnot. And so then after they won obviously and they got gold, like everyone is making these like Simone had posted like a comment basically it's like lack of talent, lazy, Olympic gold, gold champions or gold medalists and whatnot. And then you had a couple of the other teammates, even USA Gymnastics Twitter responded with a comment to the
Yeah.
mobiles thing. So it's just it's I'm like with the obviously I support Simone and the team. It's felt unnecessary to say lack of talent and
Yeah.
lazy. Like come on. I think I did hear I forget who was explaining it. I think it may be I'm forgetting what the podcast I heard, but they were saying that Michaela was basically coming from like experience where it's like they were coming from that hard discipline and hard training, where kind of like that Bobby Knight school of like coaching, and where it's like everyone's got to be on your ass, and you're not getting like tough love and this hard discipline, and now everything's like too nice, and so because of that niceness, and because USA Gymnastics is not as tough as it was before, that's gonna impact that how everyone else is doing, but clearly, that's not the case. And now she is the only. They said that she's like the only U.S. gymnast within like the last like 20 or 30 years to not get a gold medal.
Interesting.
She has a silver medal,
Yeah.
but they didn't win gold, I guess, in 2020. So,
Yeah.
and every other year, like pretty much every, I think every women's gymnastics team member of gymnastics has like a gold medal except for her,
Mm.
which is wild. So.
Yeah, that sound like a hater syndrome if I ever heard it.
Hater syndrome it is. I think that was a long intro. So we gotta start the show.
Doors opening. Step back to allow customers to exit.
I was hey, Samson, your tag partner.
French fried fro, Moody, off the top row.
Let's say this is the Wrestling Rehab Podcast. Weekly stroll through the avenue of wrestling. You got that? forgot that?
Yeah, it came through.
What? No, I said, did you forget that?
Oh no.
I said you forgot
Or
to say
well,
the
yes,
Wrestling Re-Up
technically by
podcast.
the definition of forget, yes, because I wasn't gonna say it.
You weren't gonna say the title of the podcast. That's your job.
Yeah, I wasn't. That's why I was like, mm-hmm. I was like listening to you. Mm-hmm. Yep, we're ready this time. Yep, I heard Habisha Hayes. Yep, French Fried Fro, we're here.
Yeah, and then I was like, you
Yeah, you
gotta
got it.
finish it
Oh yeah.
through. You had to finish it through to the Wrestling Re-Up podcast, and then I pick it back up on
Yeah.
the avenue. Anyway, we're gonna
I got the
pre-record
meat. I got
that.
the meat in the middle of the
We're gonna
sandwich. I hear you.
pre-record that, and we're never gonna have to do it live again. So that is the case.
Yeah.
But yes, welcome to another episode 4, and we are live. And soon we'll be on a podcast everywhere near you. I mean, we'll be on Twitch, but right now we're on YouTube. And Moody, where else can you find us?
Well, right now you can find us at the Wrestling Re-Up, all socials, TikTok, the Wrestling Re-Up at gmail.com if you want to give us some feedback, and also Instagram at the Wrestling Re-Up.
And soon we'll be having more areas to contact as well. But that's where we at. And we got a big show to get through. It is a pop-up week, and one of the biggest pop-ups of the year. Summertime, definitely. Summerslam. And we have about it starts about in 7 hours, I guess. They said it
Yeah,
starts at 7, but I don't know if the pre-show starts at 7 or the show starts at 7.
funny because I Googled it earlier because I wasn't sure, and it says 6:30. So when you say
Okay.
7, I'm thinking maybe the show does start at 7.
Okay, it's probably 7. They got a large card. It's 7 matches on this card. And people are like, oh, it's a small card. I'm like, technically, this is the largest card they've had since WrestleMania.
Mm-hmm.
Because every pay-per-view they've had, PLE they've had, has had 5 matches on it. So this card has 7 on it. So the largest card since WrestleMania is SummerSlam, and there's a lot of things that people are predicting. So let's get into the week and the go home of Raw, SmackDown, and NXT was themed this week. So we'll get into that. But first, wanted to get into some current event news. We talked about MVP and Bobby Lashley contracts being up. MVP being a little bit more open about it. Putting out public, kind of goodbyes when he was posting to Omos in last week. Over the weekend, he popped up at GCW Bloodsport and challenged Josh Barnett. And so I came to find out afterwards, listening, I think, the Masked Man later that next day, that there was a lot of WWE people here at this show. Shayna Baszler was on this show as well, and some other people. I think Charlie Dempsey was there as well. So, interesting, I would say the least. But I do think MVP is, an independent wrestler at this moment. But it's just interesting to see him at Bloodsport while there are also a bunch of other WWE people there. But thoughts, if you have any.
Oh yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's there. What really surprised me just the number of WWE people that are there. That's really what surprises me. Granted, obviously, I didn't watch the show, but
Yeah.
once again, just heard about it, with Masked Man, and just to hear that number of people, I'm like, and some of them didn't actually go over. From what I understand, I think Charlie Dempsey possibly lost because I know Shayna won. I think.
Yeah, I'm bringing up the card right now if I could find it.
Yeah, I think that's just fascinating. It's just the forbidden door isn't forbidden. That's all. Even to those smaller satellite companies that we don't think about as the major fans. You know what I'm saying? But there's a place for those companies also. There's a reason people love them, and that the wrestlers go there to grind it out. So
yeah, you had Julius Creed go over. You had Charlie Dempsey, he lost by submission.
yeah.
Brutus Creed, he went over, technical knockout. Julius Creed won by technical knockout. And then yes, Shayna won by technical knockout as well. So yeah, 4 WWE matches, or 4
Mhm.
WWE people on that card,
Yeah.
and then you also had MVP. So interesting.
Hey, put the MVP back on my screen. I don't care how he comes.
Yeah, yeah. Let's get into the flagship store, and I will say this was not a bad show. It was fairly fine. Nothing too surprising for me. Coming out of Raw. I will get mine out the way because I don't really have much, and you'll see I don't really have much for most of the show for this week. I thought this was a pretty tame week. Not a bad
Oh,
week.
very tame. Very
Not a
tame.
bad
Yeah.
week, but it was pretty tame. Kind of just like, all right, we're pretty chill here. Sheamus and Bronson Reed, I put that in my mid. Mid rising, just because again, I think we'll see something. I'll kind of repeat this at the same thing when we get to SmackDown. Um, I feel like in these go home shows, we're gonna get like a lot of just like last minute kind of dialogue about storylines as we get into these PLE matches, but they're always gonna at least give you one kind of wrestling match that's like really good. And I think for the Raw, this was a good match.
Yeah.
And I don't know where it heads for either one of them, but it's good to see at least good wrestling between two guys that I think like, yeah. But give this match, it's kind of like we'll say the same thing when we get into SmackDown. It's kind of the same situation with Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. It's like, yo, like this is good. This will be like, all right, at least I got some good wrestling out of the show.
Yeah.
So that's my pretty much my only thing I picked up from Raw today this week. Everything else is
Yeah.
pretty much shake.
Yeah. And I understand where you're coming from with just like labeling everything shake. Obviously,
Yeah.
I sorted them by like what I thought about the individual segments on the show. But yeah, I agree that it's completely tame for the most part.
Yeah.
The last thing, just to add to your Bronson Reed and Sheamus, we had another Pete Dunne
Yeah.
sighting, and because he busted him upside
Shillelagh.
the head with a shillelagh, and immediately
Yeah.
just flashbacks to Finley, like, hitting people in the head with shillelaghs. And so I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like, we're continuing that. So interesting choice of weapon. But for me, the primo this week was the match of Balor versus Gunther, which
Mm.
I agree with your first statement when you say, hey, just good wrestling, getting these guys out here, because it's like, we know Balor can go. He has an attachment to this situation also. He's like, oh, yeah, I'll soften him up for you, champ. Great match. I saw this meme posted later, and it was like the art, and it was just the pictures of everybody's chest, and it said the artist, and it was just Gunther, because it's just all the, how red everybody's chest is after a match with
Yeah.
him. Like, he's always drawing blood, like, straight up. And I really enjoyed Damian Priest really going over in a strong way, like really beating the crap out of Gunther after the match, and something that he hadn't done before, like throwing him over the announce table and all this stuff. So I thought that did a lot for his character, and we can talk about that more. Obviously, or we're going to talk about all this more with the predictions at the end.
Yeah.
But that's
I'll
why
say,
it's up there so high, because I felt like they
yeah.
haven't done that for a Priest, in comparison to Gunther directly. So I just thought it was good to at least make your champion look the best he has looked since, winning it, especially with like, because you can have like a snooty fan like us be like, oh, well, Gunther's the only like real challenger he's had. You know what I'm saying? He got lucky with Seth. I know. I'm just throwing it out there for like
Yeah.
somebody who's still doubting his title reign. That's what they would
Yeah.
probably say.
Yeah.
So I was glad that, they actually said, fuck that. Hey, beat the shit out of Gunther for us right before your match. So.
Yeah. I'm ready for this match. I'm hyped for this match. I do think, again, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with anything that we saw with what happened in the segment. It's more of like, yeah, I'm ready for the match.
Yeah.
That's pretty much where I'm at. Same thing with like I don't want to get ahead too far ahead, but with Seth and the Drew and the CM Punk
Yeah.
segment, I was like, not a bad segment. I kind of like how Seth was like, yo, this is how things are gonna go. And it's just kind of like, at my discretion at the time. So you just gotta,
We can just take it there now. But yeah,
yeah,
I had that at my mids also, and like it's literally in the mid because I'm ready for the match. It's fine. And
yeah.
the only thing I will point out is like when he was explaining the rules, he didn't explain shit.
He
Like
didn't
he just
explain.
did.
That's what I'm
Like
saying. Like
if
all he said
anything,
was like, you go ahead and do it, and you go like we'll figure it out. You'll see. Like,
yeah,
go ahead. If you want to do it, do it. And then I'll let you know. You know what I'm saying? Like you'll figure
yeah.
out in the moment what's happening. So go do what you want to do, and then I'll stop you if I feel like I need to stop you.
Yeah, the way that he was explaining that, it almost took a like we know the stipulation in this match is special guest, Seth Rollins. Had that not been just the way he was talking, I'm like, this is a Seth Rollins rules match. Like that's what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah.
because he was like disqualification. So I'm like, is that yes or no? Like in my head, I'm like, obviously I would think no, he means by that, but all right. But yeah, I'm just ready for that match. I'm done with that. It was fine.
It was cool. It was cool. Like a lot of this is like, all right, let's just get to SummerSlam already.
Yeah. Also in the mids, Wyatt Six getting physical, like the Wyatt
Yeah.
Six specifically, not Uncle Howdy.
Yeah.
With the new Alpha Academy, whatever they're gonna call that faction. The Creeds and
I'll
Chad
call
Gable.
it
The
Alpha
Creeds take all the
Academy.
blows for him. And it's
Yeah.
like, he's a leader of a new group and immediately runs away when they get attacked. I'm like, great heel work, right there, Chad. Great heel work. What a piece of shit. Like, you recruited these guys as reinforcements, and you're like, yo guys aren't good enough either.
I did like the move set from the
Yeah,
White Six. Yeah, I
yeah,
thought it looked pretty dope. It looked
yeah.
devastating.
A team self pop up power bomb senton across
Yeah,
both of them. I thought that was cool.
and was
Yeah,
it Dexter Loomis taking the power bomb?
yeah. Which I
Yeah,
definitely would have put
like,
that in my head. So that
yeah,
surprised me. That definitely surprised me. And I'm still wondering. I'm like, these are definitely extensions in his hair, right? Like his hair doesn't actually look
yeah.
like that. And
No,
I'm like, yeah. So
it's like
that's cool.
Kane. Kane. Like when he didn't have the long hair,
Yeah, yeah, it was just
that was
attached
part
to
of
the
the
mask.
mask.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
See, but he took
he
the
took the mask
vulture
off.
mask off, and the hair was still there because that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
he probably connected with Caden.
Yeah,
He's like, hey,
yeah,
Caden,
yeah.
like,
It's like went to her hair
teach,
tech.
teach me your ways.
Yeah, right. He was sitting in that chair for 7 hours, like, God damn, like this is what black women be going through. Um, damage control for the shake, just because I had it there. Get damage control actually returning. They got a new taunt also, pointing the gun and like doing this across the face. So I was like, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, it seems like they're trying to come back as faces too, right? And so my thing is like, can we
Yep.
take damage control as a serious as a face?
Yeah. I think it's funny because I can't remember if it was the Wednesday Worldwide or Mass Man,
Yeah.
but they were joking like, all right, what's the time clock? Like, what's the soonest you can turn a group face after you just had a main storyline of somebody breaking away from that group and had their face turn against that group because they're all heels. So it's like it's been WrestleMania, but it does feel very quick. Oh, but it does feel like you gotta flip them just because of like you do have the new formation of Sonya, Shayna, and Zoe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess you gotta kind of balance out the roster, that
You know
way.
what I would do from a storyline perspective is I would and it kind of would come off as like a comedic bit, but I think it kind of just shows more character because Japanese characters are always so serious and it's like, yeah, they can have fun and they can kind
Yeah.
of show some kind of comedic timing. That I do think, and I think it works well with Dakota as well. Have them kind of just go through this kind of bit where it's like, hey, look, like we're good. We are turned a new leaf. Like, well, you haven't really watched like Better Call Saul or like Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
but like kind of just almost like play to this character. It's like, look, I've turned a new leaf. Like we're good now. We're good. And like just kind of play into this kind of comedic thing where you're trying to show people that you're good, but for whatever reason, it still kind of turns out bad. And it's like, look, it's just unfortunate circumstance, but we're trying to be good people. We're good.
Yeah.
We're not bad anymore.
I actually remember which pod it was on. I was on Masked Man, because as you're describing that gimmick, it was Shoes. Shoes was like, wouldn't it be great if they had a face gimmick of like, because you keep the name Damage Control, but it's like,
Yeah.
they're always people who are fixing the announcers tables that are like broken. Like they'll just come out and fix the stuff and be like, hey, we're just trying to contribute, right? Like we're just trying to show that like we care about the show. And it's like they fuck up like some steel steps like from the match before, and it's like they come back and like put them back where they're supposed to be.
That's what it is.
Like,
that's what it is.
That.
It's like they take the bumps for other people. They're like, no, stop. This is way too much. Way too much.
Yeah. And the very last thing, I know I've said this already, but they're not listening. So the only Reggie of this entire week is fucking the Final Testament. I do not care. I do not care in the slightest. I don't care if they wear red. I do not care if they wear blue. I do not care if they wear boots. I don't care if they wear shoes. I do not care if they're on the air. I do not care if they're on the back of a bear. I do not like the Final Testament. Please get them off my TV screen. That last part didn't match, but I was freestyling. And I'm just going to keep it at that. I'm going to keep it like that.
Give you the snaps. Give you the snaps.
Yeah. I'm done with that. So that's my Raw recap right there. All the stuff I had to say.
Yeah, I was going through like rewatching the recap on the. I'm like, I don't really care to watch this.
It's painful.
I think where they should have gone is they should have made AOP a lot more devastating. I think they should have gave them the tag team titles.
Yeah,
because at least it gives some legitimacy. But again, that's everything that we've talked about since the beginning of this. It was like Karrion Kross, what he's saying is probably not untrue, but you're just the wrong messenger.
Yeah. And then I think it's really hurting that. Like,
if that was coming from Gunther, it hits a little bit harder.
Facts, yeah.
But from you, it's like, man, like it's probably all facts. You just the wrong messenger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can obviously, because you can see where they're going with it and where he like says like, oh, he's holding you back. You're gonna let him shine. Just trying to break up the New Day. But that's where I was gonna say. I guess it really hurts not having Kofi there. However, that's part of storyline. So like he was written off. So it just feels like they're floundering. Especially like when I look at the visual of like just Xavier Woods and all of the Final Testament, you're bringing out everybody. Like you got 6 people in that, like with Scarlett and Scott Ellering. Yeah. Or 5, whatever. It's just a lot. And it's like you're expecting me to care about all 5 of these people based off the back of this one guy. It's not working.
I mean,
or 1.5 guys, because Kofi was a part of it. So
it's he hasn't had an opportunity to really like actually see. That's the thing. What happens? I feel like when you just give somebody squash matches when they first come into the onto our
the
TV
main roster.
screens.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, I get what you're trying to do, but then what happens when they get into a legitimate fight with somebody? A legitimate, feud with somebody.
Yeah.
Like with him, it was like Rey Mysterio. It's like, okay, cool, but Rey's still a Hall of Famer for a reason. He went through and won the Royal Rumble. He's done all of this stuff. He's main event at WrestleMania. It's like, of course, if it would be the upset, but are they going to give him that opportunity to upset him? And it's like, if you're not, then what's the point? Like, you automatically just eliminate all the kind of buildup that you've done with this character.
Yeah.
So at some point, he's got to go over. But for some reason, it never does. And I guess maybe he does, but it just doesn't click. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what it is. I can't really say I really don't know what it is. So
yeah. Unfortunate. I don't either. It's just yeah, literally it's just very unfortunate because I live in that, like, wish I could just shoot black and gold NXT from like 2013 to 2018 timeframe into my veins. And he was a part of that. And I enjoyed it very much. And it's like, it's he's one, I guess, just to put it simply, he's just one of the worst off like people that have been promoted up to the main roster. It's like, I mean, they've had a bad round of them, but like that's a pretty bad one.
Do you think it's the gimmick or is just something within, like, he's not a good promo, his moveset? Like, what do you think it is? What do you think is the problem?
I mean, I think the promo is fine. I think it does come off kind of stiff, somewhat. He is a good talker though. Like once he gets it going, like it's fine. But I feel like you can see him thinking, so that kind of I can see that taking people out of it. The moveset was already bad, which is why they re-debuted him with a new finisher. Like, so he has the last prayer now as a finisher, which that looks good. You know, I think it's devastating. It's like a pump handle, like F5, basically. I don't know. It's just like when you add it all up, it doesn't work. Because even I felt like it was better when it was just him and Scarlett. You know, when it was just all entrance, you know what I'm saying? That's what he was doing in NXT. I'm like, that's fine. Just keep doing that. Like, and be like the big psychopath, you know, using the cross jacket. You can never have too many heel psychopaths on a roster. I think that's perfectly fine. So now I think it's the fact that AOP is a part of it and they're this whole Final Testament. Like, without a trios division or a trios title, I feel like there's no point for y'all to be together. You know what I mean?
No,
it's as simple as that for me.
He should be in a feud for this United States Championship
or IC title or something, yeah,
or something like that. Again, like that's how it should be. Like they should be trying to impart their Final Testament on the mid card, or at least you know the tag team is kind of mid card, you know, hybrid to like depending on where you're at as a tag team, you know, clout wise, but. He should be trying to go after these IC titles and US titles and whatnot. And they should be trying to like get gold.
Yeah.
So for him to just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna mess with Bobby, or I'm gonna mess with Ray, or I'm gonna mess with Kofi and Xavier Woods. It's like it goes back. Like, what are you guys here for?
Yeah.
What do you want to get out of this?
Nothing. Well, that's you're naming it right now. So yeah, it's the motivation. Like that's what's missing, if anything, out of the Final Testament for sure. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
because you're not going to convince Xavier to leave Kofi. So, like, y'all are like recruiting people for what? Because you're changing their lives or something, like a straight edge society kind of thing. Well, at least straight edge society made sense. At least up to that point, it's like, all right, we're all clean and sober, and you don't need to do that stuff. But we're heels because everybody likes to drink beer at wrestling shows. You know what I'm saying? And CM Punk has mutton chops and this fucking black mass. So, but yeah, the motivation is missing for sure. And that's way too much time on the Final Testament anyway. Like, I really wanted to get off of that, like, after saying that rhyme.
Again, it's just trying not to be like, it's not, I don't dislike Karrion Kross as a person. I don't know him anything. I've seen him and Charlotte give an interview like one time. I'm like, all right, y'all. And it was like when they were out of WWE. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So like it was, and I was like, oh, they seem like regular chill people. Like, all right, what's up? So it's just more of just trying to figure out like, is there something that could be salvaged? So, but let's head over next door to the bodega, and it's a themed week at the bodega. Last week it was themed week at the coffee shop, Blood and Guts. This week it's a themed week at the bodega. Week 1, it's 2 weeks. Great American Bash. What did you pick up from the bodega of NXT?
There, we got the same thing. A bunch of that Roxanne versus Thea Hale was the best thing on the show as far as I was concerned. And, you know, I'm pulling for Thea Hale. I know I've had a little pedestal for her in my heart. She has a spot for me in NXT. So yeah, I was rooting for her. Like, I've loved her in Chase U. I mean, I knew it wasn't going to happen, but like if you were telling me about if we were doing predictions, I definitely was like, yeah, that Pop Rocks is going over. But Yeah, it was the best thing on the show.
Oh, for sure. And I think like it's pretty obvious that like Roxanne was gonna come out. She's already talking about, Julia and Stephanie back here
Hmm.
coming to WWE fairly soon, NXT fairly soon. So but I do think what this does, and we can't forget, like it helps out a lot. It's helped out your boy Chris Jericho once upon a time. We've seen it help out a lot of people. Jeff Hardy.
Hmm.
It makes you believe. It makes you believe that Thea Hale can do it. That she could win the
Yeah.
title. Same thing like when we were there at day one,
Hmm.
right? We were like, oh, like we all want to be like, yeah, we wanted to see Liv win the title, beat Ronda and stuff like that. And it's just like, yeah, she didn't win that night, but it's like, oh yeah, like she can do it.
Yeah.
Like we could put like she could get the title on her. It's not like a wishful thinking type of thing. This is a serious thing that can actually happen. So, um, she lost this week, but there will be gold on her belt, on her waist in the near
Yeah.
future.
And if anything, I mean, the roster is very diverse in NXT, so like I hate to just weight class them basically, especially
Mhm.
like I mean you got Roxanne Perez as the women's champion. It's not like she's gigantic, you know what I mean? But when I see Kalani Jordan, I'm like, okay, yeah, we're doing a women's cruiserweight. Like that's what North American title is. Like when they first put it on her, I was like, God, she's so small. Like because even that belt is small, and I'm
Yeah.
like, but it looks appropriate. It's proportional though. So I'm like, yeah, that's more so
She's
the
not
title I
that
would see
like
her.
like she's got I guess she's not short.
Well, yeah, petite. They're all. I mean, not all of them are petite, but a decent amount of them are. So
Yeah.
I was like, maybe that's the one that like Thea
Yeah,
Hale
she's
needs to
Kalani
grab because
Jordan's
she's like
5'5".
Thea Hale's got to be like the shortest one on the roster, probably.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, had that happen. Um, Joe Hendry, we got the live concert. That was mids.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty cool. The fact that he just targeted Dallas, I was like, oh well, not smart, but good feud choice, definitely. Joe Coffey and Gallus. But I'm like, it's almost like the same thing I said with like Cody. Like we know like Cody's character is like the endless heart baby face. It doesn't matter how many bloodline members is out there. He's like, oh, I'll take you on in a bloodline rules match. We'll get to that. But
Yeah.
like calling out the whole faction, like it's 3-on-1. Like, you just got here. Like you ain't even part of the team. If Bianca was still there, she'd be like, you don't even go here. And you calling out people like, which is fine, but
Hey,
just the fact that it's
we
3-on-1,
we
I'm
don't know
like,
who
okay,
we don't know who we squad up with at TNA.
that's true. We don't know. But when we saw him getting in the ring previously, that man was like knocked out of the battle royal in literally 3 seconds. So the only impression we got is like he's not that great of a wrestler, at least on NXT
Hey,
screens.
I'm
So
telling you,
mm,
Elias,
oh, that'd
get
be fire.
Elias, get Elias back, and who's another singer?
Yeah.
Oh,
Another good one.
Heath Slater,
Oh yeah, the one man band. Get him back. Yeah.
Heath Slater, and Elias with Joe Hendry.
Yeah. I feel like Heath Slater is at least he's a musical clash though, because he's doing rock. You know what I'm saying? He's doing like not heavy
All
metal, but
right,
like classic rock. He's doing
we'll find
classic rock
somebody else.
versus
We'll think of somebody
that's
else
what
with
yeah,
the
we can think of
guitar.
somebody. But yeah, I like that. I mean, and then obviously they come out and they were like, hey, stop talking shit. We'll beat the hell out of you. And
Yeah.
then they just did. So Joe Hendry almost got my championship belt of the week for the acting that he was doing. I was like, my nigga is in agony. Like that NPC, my back hurt. Ugh, ugh. He just kept doing the same. Like, I just can't like lift my head up. Like, so yeah, I couldn't think of a title name for it though.
I
So,
do
but
think
I'm
that
gonna point that
it
out.
is funny when they do those shots of like a team, like a group of people just standing
Mhm.
over a person, and they're either just like the same thing happened when Johnny Gargano on SmackDown
Yeah.
after spoiler, after Solo and not Solo, but
The Bloodline,
the
Jacob Fatu
Bloodline.
and Tama Tonga. Yeah.
Yeah, the Bloodline, they won the titles. Johnny Gargano is just like a wooden board, just like right
Yeah.
in front of them, like perfectly as they just stand, like putting up the title belts up. I'm like, this is hilarious. This is hilarious.
It's like that doesn't bother me. Like if you're knocked out, like in kayfabe, you're knocked out. That's fine, obviously. But
Yeah,
don't
I
be
think if there's
awake
the
and
way
not
Johnny was
moving.
positioned, he was just like in a coffin, just like arms to the
Okay,
side,
yes.
just like perfectly, like everything was
Yeah.
just perfectly still, and it was just like, all right, this is hilarious.
Yeah, I didn't know the Undertaker made an appearance. All right, cool. And lastly, for me, this was the Shake. We had another um package, or well, actual match. It was
hmm
Dakara Jackson and Lash Legend of the Meta-4 versus the women's tag team champions, the Unholy Union, which they lost.
Yeah.
And all ego, Ethan Page, the champion, comes out because, Ora Mensa is out there consoling his girls, part of the Meta-4, talking smack. And he's like, hey, you'll never get a 1, 2, 3 count on me, bud. Never again. You can forget that. And then immediately Ora Mensa just rolls him up, and Lash Legend and Jakara all count with the entire crowd, 1, 2, 3. So I thought it was great. And after, last episode, and I had it as a question of like, or not a question, but I knew I was missing something. And then after you being like, oh, this is just the whole thing, I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's really funny. So
yeah, he technically Ora Mensa, like you said, he doesn't really if he didn't acknowledge any of this,
yeah,
Ora Mensa would not be getting he would not be
Yeah.
getting no title match.
Yeah.
But it's just his ego was just like, yo, nah, I'm gonna prove it.
Live in your gimmick. And I think that's why I had it up here, as I love like cartoony heels like that. Because it doesn't have to be like a serious manifesto of how you live your life, of like layers of like knowledge that you have to know to understand this character, like Bray Wyatt or something. You know what I'm saying? You can just be 1988, I'm better than you, even though you're not, and just like you're just a fake it till you make it champion. That's kind of how I'm seeing. That's why I'm seeing Ethan Page right now. It's like he's a fake it till he make it.
That's why I laughed at the last week segment with the ref, because I was like, oh yeah, it ain't nothing special, but it's funny. I liked it. Like I got a good laugh out of it. Like he was picking on the ref. Like, yeah, that's what the ref is supposed to do. So I like that. It's just like it just feeds into that, like you said, that cartoonish heel ego of like, yeah, man, like I'm just so petty about this that I can't let this go. That like it can give a guy like Ora Mensa. You're like, how did Ora Mensa end up getting a NXT championship match? It's like, well, he just was able to pick the right buttons on this dude to get this match.
Yeah.
Now let's see what happens. Now it'd be interesting to see if like Ethan Page goes into next week's matchup and just kind of like Brock Lesnar's, Ora Mensa.
Oh yeah, okay. If he just like gets serious, you mean? Yeah.
Like I mean, like he takes him like the Suplex City. Like it is done.
Yeah.
Like this, I told you, you did not get no 1, 2, 3 on me. Then that'd be like, oh okay, like yeah, that'd be an interesting turn. It's like this was funny, but then Ethan will put some respect on his name. But I don't think that's gonna happen. You're gonna make Ora give a good competitive match, which who do you think wins next week? Ora Mensa, Ethan Page.
I mean, of course, Ethan Page I have winning right now.
I guess then like how? Like, is it clean?
Oh yeah, it'll be clean. Or heelish. I mean, he's a heel champion, so like they operate.
He probably
within different rules
on the roll.
It'll be clean within heel rules. Clean. Yeah.
I think he does the roll up with the pull tights.
Yeah. Yeah, another classic heel thing, or the roll up with the legs on the ropes. Applying more pressure.
Like
yeah.
So he'll do that first, but then get caught.
Yeah.
So we'll figure it out.
Because you obviously got to figure there's gonna be that 1, 2, 2.9999 moment happens for Ora Mensa. where he's
Oh
gonna do
yeah.
the. He's been. It's funny because this. I just realized as we're having this conversation, Ora Mensa is just getting the most devastating move in wrestling history more over. This is like now his new finishing move. That's what we should think of it as. I'm thinking because he's just been knocking Ethan Page out with schoolboys from week to week, getting the visual pin with the schoolboy.
If he,
So
yeah, he should have like a kind of like just like look at his hand like Booker T or John Cena, where after he gets the pin, after he
yeah,
wins, he's like, "Oh, look at that!" The
yeah,
golden
that's
hand for roll ups, the golden arm for roll ups.
right.
Yeah, the golden roll up. That's what they're called. That's what it's called.
Golden roll up. Yeah, makes sense with the gold in his hand. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, NXT was
Anything
good
else you
though.
want to talk about NXT before
Nah,
we
that
move
was it for
over
me.
next door to the coffee shop?
Nah, we got to spend time on the pop up predictions. So we good.
Yes, we do. So let's move over to Wednesday. And before we get to the coffee shop, we have some stuff that leads us into the coffee shop. And there was rumors we didn't talk about on the show, but it was been floating around of Shane McMahon and Tony Khan, having some interest in one another as far as being a part of Shane being part of AEW. Then we get a photo leaked of Shane and Tony Khan having a meeting this week, and that just brings a little bit more of a simmering news to this gossip. To now starts the little boiling of like, all right, how serious is this, and what would it mean for Shane to be in AEW?
Yeah, I mean, I personally don't think it would mean anything. Like just because the McMahon family doesn't own WWE anymore, it's TKO. So
Mhm.
he's just a figurehead. He's just there'll be a nostalgia pop like once he comes out. You know what I mean? Uh, that's all. It doesn't mean anything. I think it would be like because Ric Flair was over there for like what 3 months because he was doing it was a combination of just being there for Sting, like for Sting's
Yeah.
retirement match, and also getting his brand deal off for like Woo Energy, which I've never seen a bottle at anywhere, by the way. But that's that's how I imagine it would go. It would just be like a promo run for something that we're not aware of within the next 3 months, basically. I see him as like, I mean, yeah, he put his body on the line. He's a special guest wrestler. So that's maybe if he got in the ring, I'd be very surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if he
The
got
last time he
physical.
got in the ring,
Like
he tore his quad or
exactly.
so or
Yeah,
ACL.
exactly. That's why I'm like, I don't see him getting physical. It'll be like a promo thing for like a few months, or he'll like manage somebody or something.
I could see him being kind of with the elite, maybe in storyline.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Maybe he's like their venture capitalist,
Yeah. They're
recruiting
the
people.
silent partner. Yeah.
Yeah, recruiting people to join the elite.
Mm,
As maybe there's a little bit more division between AEW and the elite.
yeah.
But
I like how you
that's
did
just
that just now.
that's trying to figure out a way.
Spitballing.
It's like
Yeah.
how you can figure out to have him on TV longer than a pop, but because
Yeah.
it's like that'd be my logical way in a sense. But to me, it gets back to my whole point, man. This is not 1999. I
Hmm.
don't care anymore. Like I said last week, we saw Jeff Jarrett put somebody's head through a guitar, and Billy Gunn do a DX chop. And it's 2024. And it's like, Jesus. I saw these guys do this 25 years ago. Literally. That's wild.
Hmm.
Like, can we
Hey, if it
like
ain't broke, don't
evolve?
fix it. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. You got a good gimmick. This is Mr.
I'm not
Ass.
saying
I'm
they
gonna
need
keep
to
liking
change.
ass.
I'm not saying they need to change. I'm saying
Okay.
can the can I'm not saying Billy Gunn and Jeff Jarrett need to change. I'm talking about as a television product.
Yeah.
Can we get out of 1999? You're old.
Yeah.
So If it happens, it happens. I don't like you. I don't think it moves the needle any which way. It just
No, it does. It
kind of
doesn't
goes
move the
to
needle
show
at
that
all.
Tony Khan is just so infatuated with WWE.
I mean, we all are, or just nostalgia. If anything, I think that's a real nostalgia thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's too late. Like last time we saw Shane, when he had his last nostalgia pop up, we just brought up, he blew out his quads. So,
And I love Shane
like
too.
that
Yeah,
was,
like, I pop
I
for
love
Shane.
He's my favorite McMahon.
Yeah.
Like his return
I'll
in
take Stephanie.
2015. His return in 2015, 16. When I heard "Here Comes the Money," like, and Stephanie's getting the Vince McMahon like Legacy Award, I was like, that's one of my favorite pops ever. One of my favorites, like returns ever for sure. I might put that in my top 10. But yeah, we're already 2 years past the cooked and dead date, which was WrestleMania 2 years ago or last year, whenever that happened. I think it was last 39. I have a 39 or 38 when he tore his quads.
38.
So 2 years ago. And at that point, Shane is dead as a wrestler in my mind. Like, he's dead. Like, don't do it anymore.
Or was it
And
39?
now we see him.
Because Snoop was in the ring.
Yeah,
And 39 was in Hollywood, so maybe it was 39.
Well, okay. So a year ago.
Yeah.
But if anything, it's not far off from that. It is just a year later. But even still, I think we're getting at the point of like when you have a sign or a portent in front of you, like, you're at WrestleMania and the guy blows his knees out, like, you're probably good on him. Like you're saying, like we're good on Shane in a wrestling capacity. Like we don't need that anymore.
Again, I think if he can be used as an authority figure or some type of counter to Tony Khan, if they choose to go that direction, I think that would make the most sense.
Yeah.
But then again, like we then know from a story, it's purely from storyline because we know it's like clearly we have this conversation, they're having this meeting. Unless it's kind of like a situation where it's like, oh yeah, me and Tony are working together and stuff like that. And maybe how like Christopher Daniels was kind of speaking on Tony's behalf after Tony, took the
TK driver now.
TK driver.
Yeah.
Maybe Shane is kind of in that capacity, but then works his way as like, an adversary of Tony. I don't know, but it just seems like this is more of a way for Tony Khan to have a adversary.
Yeah, no, that's a great booking just immediately off the top because I didn't even think about the Elite, but you're right. That is like at least the cleanest storyline because like even Shane as a character, we understand has always been attached with like, running the company since his last name is McMahon. You know what I mean? And being like one of the figureheads. So yeah, that just
WCW
works.
under from his father.
Exactly. That's a legendary moment for sure. I was watching live that day. So yeah, just to have him as like you said, like the figurehead of the Elite.
Yeah, I like the
or like the lawyer, like
the secret, the secret funder for the Elite. They were like, "Yo, how are y'all getting all this money? Like, how are y'all bringing in, like, Mercedes Monet
and shit.
Like, let's say like Mercedes Monet joins the Elite, right? And it's like, yo, how did y'all? She's like, they made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And her connections with the McMahons and Shane probably and stuff like that. So it naturally fits. And then you get somebody else like, I don't know, maybe you bring somebody over from TNA or Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I don't know. But like you want to be like, oh, let's put them on, the Elite and give them like say like we gave them a fat contract.
Yeah.
To join the Elite.
They're not joining AEW, they're joining the Elite. That's even better. Like, this is our contract star.
Yeah. And so that way you're like, yo, how are y'all doing this? And it's like, yeah, we got secret funding. We have venture capitalist money.
Yeah.
A beneficiary or a benefactor or whatever it may be. So, let's see if how creative they can get with it if it becomes true. But
we just wrote it.
We got to clip that.
We're better than Tony at writing this stuff.
Speaking of clipping things and archiving things, I need you to get this journal down and this archival journal for shit because let's get to this coffee shop and we're gonna get to the primo of Swerve and Bryan Danielson at All In segment, because I don't know if you remember from, I believe, like the first episode,
Mhm.
we talked about when Daniel Bryan won the Owen Hart tournament. I asked the
Yeah.
question. I was like, is Swerve going to end Daniel Bryan's career?
Yeah.
I said that. I didn't go back. That's me. I blame myself. I need to go back and clip that and bring it back. But I said that. I was like, is Swerve going to end Daniel Bryan's career? And I said that before even knowing Bryan Daniels' contract was going to end at August 1st. So I just like to say, hey, look at your boy. Look at your boy.
See, that's interesting. Props to you if that's the case.
If that's the case, oh my
I'm
god.
just like, hey, where's the clip? And it's not proven unless there's a clip. See, that's what
Go
all
watch
the,
it.
our
Episode
future
1.
fans are going to
Episode
be.
1 about an hour in. Go watch it.
Yeah. I just thought it was great. Swerve is like awesome on the mic. You don't need to convince me to come listen to Swerve. And, Bryan Danielson is such an earnest character that they just vibed off of each other like extremely well. Like neither one of them budged as far as their characters were concerned. And like Swerve basically being like, yeah, you earned your shot, but you ain't got it. And you got your title shot, just no, this is like you ain't winning. I'm like the most dangerous man in AEW. That's why I have this. And because I wasn't expecting that for Bryan Danielson to put his career on the line, because I hadn't just thought about his contract, even though, we are in the smart wrestling fan era. I hadn't thought about it. So, which is why I put it in Primo. I thought that was a good counter balance to it, and thinking, or counterbalance to Swerve, ask for a shot at the title, just because realizing Bryan Danielson has never won the AEW title.
Mhm.
So that's great. There would be an awesome send off. So it's interesting the way you worded it with Swerve and his career. And it's like, because the promise.
I think at the bare minimum, I might have said that, like, is this the last time Daniel Bryan would ever get a championship match?
Yeah.
Because again, to your point, like Daniel Bryan, he's been here for a good minute.
Mhm.
He might have had opportunities at the belt. I can't recall off the top of my head, but like at this point, he's probably mid 40s, late 40s. You know what I'm saying? Like he's gone through the neck injuries and things of that nature. How many times are you going to be in this position to legitimately like be a contender for this match again? So I, at the bare minimum, if I didn't say a career, I definitely said this definitely would be his last opportunity for a title match. So
yeah, and yeah, he has lost a lot. I mean, that's all it's been for like the 3 years or 4 years he's been in AEW. Is like he's just been the most like the best wrestler in the world at putting other people over. Like imagine being a 10 out of 10 on the mat, and you're just dedicating all of that effort to losing all the time. That's what he's been doing, like quite literally. So I just think it's funny that he said, if I promise if I don't win, then I'll retire. So it is a classic, title versus career match.
yeah.
And I want him to leave, right? So if that's the case, then he's losing. But I'm like, if you accomplish your dream, then you're gonna lie to your daughter and continue wrestling. Because the whole promo, he's like, oh, I need to be back with my family, but I got one more shot. So it's like, so if you win, you're like, fuck that. I'm going on this title run. That's what it sounds like or not even what it sounds like. That's what he's saying. So I just thought that was very funny. And Swerve scathingly be like, hey, don't keep that promise to me. Keep that promise to your family. You know what I mean? Because what I would want is for Bryan to win it and to retire.
And that could happen, and they could probably do a tournament for the AEW title.
Do another tournament. Yeah, for sure. Because it doesn't feel like it's not like early to take the title off of Swerve. I mean, I'm still down for like Swerve's title run. Yeah, for sure. But the thought of Bryan Danielson beating Swerve is not out of the pale. It's not like ridiculous. You know what I mean? So I just thought it was interesting the way that he promised his family not to wrestle anymore. But that's all I had for that. Just great, great promo work from both of them.
Bree is gonna be there, and there's gonna be some like dramatic moment. It's like, no, baby, go back, back.
But yeah, Bree actually got chants from the AEW crowd too. They were chanting Bree, Bree. Okay, next segment. This is in my mids. This is a big. You know how like in the stock exchange, we talk about the mids, the arrows pointing up, down, sideways, whatever. This is a fat arrow up, which is fat rising, which is the MXM collection debuting and defeating Private Party. I loved it, because that's exactly where they belong. And even the fact that they win the match, and like Aubrey Edwards, who is AEW's like most tenured, most respected, favorite fan ref, joins them in their victory celebration where they turn away from the camera. She's raising their arms, and then they do the over the shoulder, like look back at the camera like a model pose, like all three of them. I thought that was so funny. Loved the segment, or the match, excuse me. And that was on Rampage, so not Dynamite, by the way, slightly out of order, but it's still AEW.
Still part of the card.
Yeah.
Still part of the coffee shop.
Yeah, did you see the clip online? Because they had the match posted.
I may have seen like a small clips, but I haven't seen any extended clips.
Yeah. But yeah, Mason Mansoor, great. I'm not sure what Mace's name is. Like Mansoor, he's still Mansoor.
Yeah.
But they had these matching. I think it might be, yeah. But they had matching like leopard print shorts on. I'm like very appropriate. So I thought it was funny. But Private Party, they were great too.
For at least, especially Mace, because I'm like, bruh, I'm not comfortable with myself to be walking out, to be out like that.
6'8" in the nut huggers, basically. But I mean, everybody's in nut huggers. It's literally professional wrestling. Like literally everybody's in it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
Nobody's 6'8" doing that usually. What else we got? The main event of Dynamite was Darby Allin versus Hangman Page for the first time, which I thought that was surprising that it was even just them wrestling for the first time ever, because they're both, AEW originals. So
I caught like the last 10 minutes of that. It was pretty good. Not entirely surprised that Darby Allin won, just for the fact that he has his title match. With what's his name?
Jack Perry.
And then they had the whole kind of burning thing that happened last week. So it seems like you're trying to build up his credibility. And I believe it was more of like a surprise. Was it the most devastating move of all professional wrestling that he won with?
It was. Yes, it was.
Okay, yeah. So
it was a pinning combination. They were, going back forth and pinning combination. And it ended up being a roll up. Yeah.
Yeah. So it still protected Hangman. So good match. Not surprised. Yeah, I'd say I would have had it in my mids. Yeah, probably. Yeah. I'll put it in my mid as well.
Yeah, and spot of the match for sure. There was 2 spots of the match, which Darby Allin is a human crash test dummy. Hangman, since his return, has been way more vicious, and I know but the fucking fall away slam into the corners of the steps, that inventive. I'm like, oh, Darby, why do you do this to yourself? Like, come on, man. And then him setting himself up for a buckshot lariat, like he stands on the outside and does the whole front flip, and like Hangman Page is like, who the fuck you thought I was? And just hits him with the lariat. I was just like, oh, damn. So, you can go a lot farther, or they say you can go a lot farther with like selling than, your offensive game. So it's like, hey, he's clearly the king of selling. But, and lastly, in my shake, this was also on Collision. This is the first time I'm pretty sure I've even brought up Collision. That's their Saturday show. But the newest member of the conglomeration was introduced, which the conglomeration is Mark Briscoe's not even a faction, it's just a group of his friends. And I don't know if you saw the clip that I posted, but Baby J, it's the first time we get to see Baby J Briscoe, which this is his son that's named after his late brother of the Briscoe brothers, Jay Briscoe. So he's named after his brother. So he's Jay Briscoe the second, I'm sure. Or in kayfabe, because Briscoe's, not their real name. But It was cool. They all had their like t-shirts on, and at the beginning of the segment, he's the Ring of Honor champion, and he tells Kyle O'Reilly, he's like, "Hey, hold my baby real quick." And like Kyle O'Reilly holds the Ring of Honor title, and he starts throwing it in the air like an infant, and you can hear the crowd just start laughing. And then he was like, "We got a new member of the conglomeration," and you see him reach off screen, and that baby's younger than Farrah for sure, younger than 6 months. That baby's probably like 2 months, 3 months old. But
Is Willow
heartwarming
Nightingale
moment.
part of the conglomerate?
I don't know if she's part of it, but I know she's like friends with Orange Cassidy. That's her homie for
Okay.
sure. Like she fucks with Orange Cassidy.
I'm watching the clip right now. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
throwing a little belt. That's funny.
But yeah, just a nice little, fourth wall breaking promo. Like it isn't
Yeah.
kayfabe, but hey, new baby in the family, love it.
Hey, that's what's up.
Everybody loves new babies, yeah. In memory
what's
of Brother Jay. Yeah, that was Dynamite or AEW and the
All
coffee
right.
shop.
All right, let's pop over to Thursday and chill on the bench for a bit. Thursday, this is the most packed Thursday we have here. So we'll start off with on this week in wrestling, the book of wrestling. Play the music for a short bit, just so we get the sound. So about what on July 31st? That's at September almost. 2015. So what's that, like 9 years ago?
9, yeah.
Rowdy Piper.
All right, yeah, tongue twister for your ass.
Yeah, it is. It's early. Passed away 9 years ago. R.I.P. Rowdy.
Yeah, R.I.P. Rowdy. I mean, obviously he's before our time as far as like the prime of his like wrestling, and like when I would be watching it. So like really all I get with him is like his returns. I think it was in like 07 when he came back, or it was definitely in the 2000s as we were growing up. I can't remember exactly, but like seeing Hot Rod and him watching him take his kilt off and all that shit, like, and even him being in like the Royal Rumble. What was that? What Royal Rumble was that? I think that was when Cena won. But yeah, even that, like, that's one of my favorite, like, Rowdy Piper, memories, just hearing that music. Like, he has great music. Yeah. Also, just the bagpipes and shit, so.
He's a great promo. I highly suggest going back watching some of his old promos. I can't tell you, like, once off the top of my head, but, like, there's just some where it's just, like, that psychoticness and, like, that, like, just off the edgeness. Like, he just plays it almost like he plays it perfectly well.
Yeah.
He plays it perfectly well. It doesn't come off as like a character. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this guy's really just always on edge and is always just ready to kind of just go at a moment's notice. So, yeah, man,
and one of the
dude's a legend. Dude's great.
Yeah, and one of the OG, wrestling TV shows with, Piper's Pit, having people on a show and shit. Like, I know, like, older wrestling fans could probably go on that shit for hours, like just all the moments on that. So
R.I.P. Rowdy.
For sure.
I wanted to call out what I knew, but I didn't know to this much degree. Terry Crews, I knew was a wrestler before he got into football. He played for the Washington Commanders for a little bit. I don't think he like did much, but he played for the NFL for a little bit before getting into acting. He was on a podcast with I was about to say Apollo Crews.
No, I did read that though. I did read that when I first like looked at it. So you ain't alone.
What's his name?
I don't know. I wanted to say Apollo. I swear to you.
Blanket on his name.
We're both blanket.
Terry Crews goes on and explains how he was on WCW. He was a WCW wrestler, and his name was T Money. And if you looked at the video or the clip of them, like when he was in WCW, I'm like, okay, I get it. You kind of remind me of what's his name, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character and Jerry Maguire.
Oh, okay.
When he was like, "Show me the money" and stuff like that, mixed in with maybe someone on like Any Given Sunday, like
Okay.
LL Cool J or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I could see it working. I could see it working.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think it could have gone over. So, like I said, I feel like I knew that he did participate in wrestling. I didn't know he was actually on like television, like with a character and like with a storyline and stuff like that. So that is what I learned this week about
Hey, you just taught
Jerry
me that
Lewis.
too. That is cool though. Like as I look at it, it's like, yeah, that should go over. Like that should
Yeah,
definitely work. Like looking, I mean, obviously he's famous for being gigantic and super nimble, like the biggest robot you've ever seen, in like the longest yard. So I have all the faith for sure that he could have like gotten legitimately like over held a title or something. Like
yeah.
he
I
has
mean,
all the
and he was
athletic
talking
ability.
about like what really helped him with this, especially with acting, is the fact that like it just allowed him to just be kind of free and kind of be in the character because you're kind of method these wrestlers are kind of method actors, especially back in the day when they were like really living these characters. And
Yeah.
so for him to just be like get out of character of like the nice guy that he is in his real life and then get into this very like how super egotistical character that's all about his self-interest. And he talks about him like he talks like he's Deion Sanders and be this kind of crazy guy. It allowed him to kind of just really get into like being actually an actor
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
getting into the character rather than almost like you're feeling like you're pretending to be a character. You're like, it's like, no, this is me. I am the character.
Yeah.
So definitely recommend checking out the clip if you haven't checked it out in full. It's a little
Yeah.
short. Let's get into some current events. Well, there's one note at the coffee shop we did want to make mention. We talked about it last week. Mustafa Ali challenged not Dolph Ziggler. I don't know who Dolph Ziggler is. Nick Nemeth,
Yep.
newly
The
TNA champ,
wanted man. Yep.
for and they had their match this week. It was a really good match, about 15 minutes. Uh, you know, both of them can work. We talked about how talented both of them are. They've probably done this match how many times in WWE. Now there's just with stakes. It is a television match, and it was I keep saying it again, Nick Nemeth's first of his title, so he was going to retain, but great match nonetheless. And I think we'll probably see this a little further down the road.
I
Uh,
was honestly surprised that you put this up here. Um,
I said we
because
won't
I did
talk
have the
about it.
thought.
That we talked about it last week. I said we're going to bring it up this week, so I didn't want to
Yeah.
forget on that.
Yeah, for sure. I did watch it also. You're right. Very nice match. Uh, yeah, the danger zone is over. That's the former zigzag danger zone. So
Mm.
it's one and done right now in TNA with those, I'm pretty sure. And on a TNA note, since we're already here and this like TNA door is open, like with NXT and everything,
Mhm.
our NXT champion is, Ethan Page. Josh Alexander from TNA is on a heel run right now, and he's usually a face, but either way, that's where Ethan Page was before he even went to AEW. He was part of a tag team called the North with Josh Alexander. So when I bring this up, this is for the archives, like you would be saying. Uh, there's a world where I think you can extend his title reign like Josh Alexander debuts, like since we're already working with TNA or
Yeah.
WWE. I said we. um, uh Josh Alexander slide up in there and like help his boy retain. Like whoever the actual like next big one is, like let Trick get another shot at it or something. And like Josh Alexander come in and screw it up. I would love to see that and see the North and NXT. Because they're like two-time TNA, champions. But
Clip it,
that's
Fro.
it. Yep.
Clip it, Fro. You gotta clip that.
Right.
Let's get into some current event. Like I said, Thursday was packed with current events. First one, Survivor Series War Games to be in Vancouver. Triple H announced. I don't. Oh, November 30th. So that will be the next major pay per view. We have
All right.
we have not Cash Bash of Berlin in Berlin.
Mm-hmm.
Then I believe the next one after that is Bad Blood. No, maybe there is there a September pay per view? I don't know. I know Bad Blood's in
Uh,
October. That's in Atlanta. And then Survivor Series is in November. And then we probably won't have a December pay-per-view.
yeah,
So
I'm
I don't know.
looking
They
at
gotta
their
go over. They
schedule right
gotta go to
now.
like Saudi Arabia one more time, don't they?
That's probably what it is. There you go.
Yeah.
Another Crown Jewel show in there somewhere.
Yeah. I'll figure it out. But yeah, any thoughts on Survivor Series being in Canada? It's pretty
Yeah,
like usually Survivor Series in Canada. Obviously, you got the Montreal screw job, but we're on the west coast of Canada this time.
yeah. My first thought, as you were saying that, was literally that. You stole the words as I was going to say it. Was just at least the West Coast is getting some love. That's all I was going to
Yeah.
say, because they focus so heavily in like Toronto and Montreal, especially with or the French Canadian side, especially with Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens there. They always get the
Hmm.
craziest pops. So I'm not sure. Also, my thought is like I'm not sure if anybody's from Vancouver. Like a lot of those Canadian wrestlers are like central, like Manitoba and stuff like that. Like even like
Where's
Jericho
Chelsea
is
Green
from
from?
I don't know. I just know she's Canadian. I would throw her in Toronto. But I think that's kind of like the generic thing. Like if you're from the Northeast, people generically would be like, yeah, New York. You know what I'm saying? If they're outside the country. I'm sure that's probably what like British people do to us.
Chelsea Green is from Victoria, British Columbia.
Victoria. And yeah, we got there is no September pay-per-view. But yeah, NXT No Mercy. That's September 1st, so that's just a themed episode, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, Crown Jewel isn't until November.
That's probably like early November. Survivor Series is November 30th. So, like I
Yeah,
said, I
November.
think because of the
Yeah,
fact that there's 2 pay-per-views in August and 2 pay-per-views in November, there's probably no pay-per-view in September and December.
yeah.
That's what I'm going to assume. Um, we do have some interesting. I'm not even say interesting, just dumbass news to speak of. Um, are you familiar with the controversy with not even controversy, it's just the ignorant that's come out of
The politicizing of the Olympics. Yeah.
yes. Like I said, we started with the we talked about it I think last week with the opening ceremony
Hmm.
and people misunderstanding what that was. And now there was a boxing match where the match ended after 46 seconds after a woman wrestler from Italy took a punch to the face from an Algerian wrestler who is taller.
Boxers,
What did I say? Wrestlers?
wrestlers.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because we're a
it's a
wrestling
wrestling
show.
pod. So yeah.
A boxer. She took a shot from the face, broke her nose, and then basically ended the match. And it started this whole thing where Logan Paul had to put his thoughts out there, basically saying, this is the purest form of evil unfolding right before your eyes. A man was beaten up by a woman on a global stage, crushing her life's dream while fighting for her deceased father. This is delusional and must end. And then a few moments later goes, oopsies, I might be guilty of spreading misinformation along with the entirety of this app. Although she's previously been disqualified for failing a gender test and has an XY chromosome, some sources say Iman Khalif, who was born a biological woman, I stand by my sentiment that biological men should not compete against biological women in any sport. And if you disagree, you're a sick fuck. So, and then to even get into that, we have Pat McAfee going on on his show, basically saying, "Hey, I don't know anything about this. I don't know much, but we're all really confused."
Mhm.
And blah blah blah. And so it's just a lot of ignorance. If they actually took the second to actually do any kind of research, and actually not even just do research, just like be open minded, because you could even look beyond this. There's a real sports segment that was done about this woman named Castor Semenya. I believe she's in South Africa. She's a track athlete. Same situation where she's a woman, but for whatever reason in her body, she has an XY chromosome, but she is technically a biological woman. And so it just goes to show that things aren't as cut and dry, as black and white as you may like it to be.
Yeah.
And so if you don't know, at least try to go become knowledgeable or inform yourself. But
That's what
to
pissed
have
me off
Pat McAfee
about.
come out here and be like, we are all confused. Who's we?
Exactly. Yeah.
Your we is such a small circle.
Yeah, it's you and the boys in that studio in fucking Indianapolis. Like,
And anybody that's anybody that's in your voice box.
Yeah, and also for you to like start it off, because we understand like giving qualifiers like when you're discussing things that you don't understand, but you're talking about Olympic. I'm not saying it should be something different because they're Olympic athletes. I'm just saying generally, you know, the reason that you're putting this on your show. Like you're talking about this because there is political eyes, or there's a politicization happening in our country with, you know, transgender people. And the fact that you just want to have this moment, oh, maybe I'll get my 17 million views or whatever the fuck it is, but you're going to give the qualifier of, oh, well, you know, it's just, I don't know anything, like, not sure, but from what I understand, you know, this is what's happening. Dude, how about you shut the fuck up then if you don't understand? But even if they
even looked it up, they would find out.
Country. He's fanning the flames of politics in our country to give himself a boost for his show. And that's just all it is. And
it's all capitalism.
Just being like, hey, hands off. I don't know. Like, I could be wrong. You know, y'all. Hey, how about you shut the fuck up?
If they did the research, if they even looked up any kind of article, they'd find out that even the events that they were banned in last time, the IOC was like, that was arbitrary and unfair.
Yeah.
It was wrong. Because it wasn't just this boxer, it was another athlete as well, a Chinese athlete. I forget her name as well. She was also banned from whatever kind of international competition that was happening like a couple of years ago. And then they were like, yo, that's unfair. They shouldn't have been banned.
Yeah.
And so even in that sense, your argument like they were banned before, it's like, yeah, and that was wrong. So again, I talked about it last time. I'll continue to bring this up because we've talked about it from like a, you know, just a human aspect. But if WWE really wants to understand it, you got to talk to that in their language. And it's like, you're not UFC. Just because you are under the same parent brand and you have some crossover between your audience doesn't mean you have the same audience. You've spent the years of 2008, 2007. When did we talk about WWE turning PG? Last week?
Yeah.
Was a 15-year anniversary, something like that, of you going PG, and you're just coming out of that. So you've spent the last 20 years catering to a very diverse audience. Your audience has always been diverse. You've been catering to children. You've been catering to a lot of different people. And so from a monetary aspect, it's pretty wild to have somebody made the point that it's like Sami Zayn's got to be quiet about his beliefs and his protests and his stuff that he's doing for people in Palestine and for Gaza. But Logan Paul can go out here and talk about, if you believe this, you're a sick fuck. And that's the United States champion. And he has a prime sponsorship in the ring, and you put his bottles on the side of the ring, and you have his big ass car and involved in storylines and things of that nature. Pat McAfee is in storylines for no consequential reason. Him and his boys are in WWE 2K as DLC that you can buy and download. This is a public company. Niggas can buy shares. Like, keep fucking around. There was a conversation yesterday I was talking about, like, they were talking on the Evan Mac joint, on the Evan Mac Wrestling Podcast. Shout out to them. They was like, I don't think Triple H is racist. This dude is completely ignorant of black folks. And just not even black folks, just people of color. And I'm telling you, this dude is pretty similar to Dana White as far as like interest and beliefs, probably. But again, your audience is not the UFC audience. You have a way more diverse audience, both in background and diversity and in age.
What he does understand is, you know, the gravitas that like somebody like Logan Paul would have, looking outside the company and bringing him in, because this is the double-edged sword of an influencer. You know what I'm saying? I could wholly believe that, yeah, the demographic probably went up even a little bit higher when, Logan Paul was first coming out for, young men and shit like that. But now you got, I mean, not to say that he wasn't talking shit before. I don't know. I don't give a shit about Logan Paul outside of like WWE. I've never paid attention to a single thing that he's done or watched his pod. So this is the double edge of that. Now you got to deal with an influencer just saying oopsies. And also in that first sentence saying, oh, I just spread misinformation like everybody else on this app. So also just deflecting responsibility completely for your part in it. Like, your phone was blowing up, or whoever your publicist was like, hey, that shit is fucking stupid, and then he just puts that up. Like, all right.
Hey,
Ignorance.
I thought of like, do we want to bring this up and make we don't want this to be a political podcast, but it's somewhat relevant because this dude has a major match in his hometown. And we talked about last week. I was like, I want LA Knight to win, because I do think it's time for Logan Paul to just get up off the title and give LA Knight the title because he's over as well. I can see ways for him to win, his brother helping him out and whatnot. Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just like, if he loses, I can definitely see the people on that crazy MAGA side being like, oh, look, WWE's woke and they don't believe, and this is punishment for what he said. This, that, and the third is why he lost the belt.
Yeah.
And it's just like, see, this is the thing that you bring yourself into.
Mm-hmm.
But y'all want to get at motherfuckers for trying to make money on Twitch. Zelina Vega was let go
for wanting to make a passive income. Yeah, for wanting to make a secondary income.
But
that's crazy.
Because they couldn't get scratch off the WWE talent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're only famous because you're Zelina Vega. Like, there's no way people would be watching you on Twitch if it wasn't because of the WWE. So we need to get 10% of your joint. What?
Nah. Hey, that's the way business works, though. Ain't that fucked up?
Again, if that's the way they want to talk about, we could talk all the humanity, but for them, it's all about the money. And it's like, I hope the money's worth it. Like, no disrespect to Logan, that's what he's done in the ring and stuff like that, but still, like, you are an ambassador.
Mm-hmm.
Just as Damian Priest is when he's out there with the belt, just as is with Liv out there with the belt. So it's a it's just an annoying thing to have to talk about because just ignorant people just have the loudest mics.
Yeah, just permeating in our society for sure.
Yeah.
That's enough on them, though.
Let's move over to the boutique of SmackDown. And like I'm going to be consistently saying, these go-home shows in the cities on SmackDown, they get gypped. I would not go to one of these shows.
Yeah.
This wasn't as bad as like some of the international shows when they do it, but this is still like, man, I might as well just pay the extra couple $100 and gone to SummerSlam.
Yeah.
But I will say my best thing was that Andrade is 2-0 versus Melo. I have that in my primo. And not to say that I hate Melo, I just think that like the dynamic of like Melo's character and kind of taking these 2-0 losses, I think it's kind of like an Ethan Page, except with the less cartoonish, but more of just like it's going to make him more dangerous.
Yeah, I can see that.
You're going to see him being a little bit more like, conniving and more, cerebral.
Yeah.
And then Andrade again, dude needs to get over at some point, man. Like, you can't just keep having this guy just be a workhorse. So I'm glad in like Andrade, because in past times it would be flipped. Like
Oh, for
Carmelo would
sure.
be up 2-up. So the
Yeah.
fact that Andrade's 2-up on Melo, I think that helps out both characters than if it was the reverse.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because Melo, I think, because we're close enough to. I wonder what the exact percentage is of like the main roster fans that watch NXT, because there's still a divide there. Like not everybody. The second that Carmelo Hayes shows up, you know who he is. So, but with that, he did previously debut, and Melo is already over at the NXT level, and I guess it's just the argument that Andrade obviously has the AEW stink on him, so we got to like wash that off by like just giving him some great time with another guy that we're trying to establish, on the main roster. And it's a great choice, Just Cause match part 2, another 4-star match for sure.
Yeah.
But the headline of the show is obviously, which I got in mids, the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga winning the tag team match, or the tag team titles, excuse me, versus DIY, which I believed they would win just because Triple H is in the hot potato era. Like, I'm sure he like broke it down to DIY, like, hey, y'all are gonna get it back. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't say necessarily, oh, it's gonna be in the next month, but just for the sake of like, they only held the belts for a month, right? Not even 3 weeks.
Like
yeah,
2
exactly.
weeks? Yeah,
So
3 weeks. Yeah.
yeah, so they'll get it back like once, because they are clearly already a made act. That was just done for us so we can, like you said, get used to seeing them with the belts. Like when you said that like 2 weeks ago. That's just what that title reign was for. It's like, hey, these will be the guys, going forward. Because as much like care has been put into like Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano, like their whole storyline in NXT, those are some real investments right there, those guys. So I'm not upset with it, but once again, I think the show stealer, or this should be his other nickname besides the enforcer, but the show stealer, Jacob Fatu, boy, he hit fucking Johnny Gargano with like a fatality combo. Like the way, like, because he was so smooth in his transition from move to move to move at the end of the match, that it was just like, oh yeah, he's dead. He's dead. Like that pop up, like, because his pop up Samoan, I want to call it a Samoan driver. Yeah, Samoan drop. Thank you.
Yeah.
Because he does it at such a high angle that it's like, oh yeah, you're feeling all that weight. That's real, dog. Like he's giving you that high angle Samoan drop. So it's like, and he's, instead of the prettiest moonsault ever, I guess it's the craziest moonsault ever, because he just hits that with like zero effort, But
yeah. I could have had this match in the mids. It probably is a mid, so I probably have it in shake. I probably would have it in the mids because I figured that the title change would happen, because it's like the way that like the way the bloodline is being positioned, it'd be hard unless Kevin Owens and Randy Orton came out and cost them the match. It'd be hard to see DIY beating the bloodline in this situation clean.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Not entirely surprised that Bloodline won. And then again, that's kind of the thing with the go homes in the cities. It's like this could have been the 8th match on a SummerSlam card, but count this as a pre-show match before SummerSlam.
Effectively. Yeah,
so
that's effectively what it is.
That's where it's like, all right, like it's probably mids. Not entirely. I guess I have it in shake because the fact that the DIY only held the titles for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think it would just be.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, because yeah, like you said, it's just like we know that they're not winning that clean. DIY is not winning that clean against the Bloodline. Like you can forget the way that they
haven't shown enough to even win that clean. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then Cody also at the beginning of the show, coming out and accepting a Bloodline rules match. All right. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay.
I'll say that. Like, I'm not surprised because as I was going through the card last night, I was like, I was like, oh wow, we have 7 matches on this card. 6 of them are title matches,
Mhm.
and the only one that isn't in a title match is the
Drew McIntyre,
Seth
Seth Rollins,
with the
yeah,
special guest referee.
CM
So I was
Punk.
like, we have 6 singles titles matches with no stipulations, and so something has to get spiced up here. So
Yeah,
not entirely surprised that this match got spiced up.
yeah. Um, yeah, great visual at the end. Obviously,
Yeah,
like
with
you
the
said, just the way they're
Jacob.
positioning. Yeah,
Yeah,
him giving the titles to Solo.
yeah. Oh,
I
I
really
thought you were
like
talking
that.
about when the Cody bloodline segment earlier in the show. There's like a
Mhm.
visual of Cody looking at Solo, but in the foreground or in the background,
Yeah, you can
Jacob
see
Fatu
Jacob.
is like just staring bullets into Cody.
Yeah, I did see that also. Yeah, he's in the background of that.
Yeah, but what did you think about Solo holding both the belts and not Jacob and Tonga?
Well, it's just more evident of how this is his bloodline. Like, I see Roman's bloodline more so as like, I guess, I mean, it is the original one, but I guess I would say traditional, seeing as how he actually did get like, the lay from, his father and
Hmm.
stuff and was named tribal chief and everything. So there is like, originally when we hear about the ancestors and stuff, it does feel like, oh, that's just part of the character. But when you have that moment, it's like, okay, this makes it like that fourth wall breaking, like real kayfabe, thing, basically. Where this is obviously 100% kayfabe, but Solo's like, I'm gonna have to be like the most vicious man alive for. Or y'all want Roman so bad, I'm gonna have to show you why Roman ain't coming back. There's no need for him or like that old bloodline, basically, because we got this one. So it makes sense because Roman definitely would have let if Jimmy and Jay win that, they're holding their belts. You know what I'm saying? Like it's
Yeah.
not bestowed upon him. But he does say, bring the titles back to this family. He doesn't say bring them to me. So that's the difference there.
Okay. Well, we definitely gonna be talking some Roman possibly in the next segment when we get to the pop up shop. Um, I'll let you finish out what you got for SmackDown.
Yeah, the shake that I had is the Tiffy in the Bank segment. We know she's getting a new briefcase. And I love the fact that there's a pink strap to it, so it's literally just a purse. She has a money
Yeah.
in the bank purse that I'm like, perfect. And when I saw that segment and Chelsea Green came in, immediately it made me think of like we were talking about how is she gonna be as a face? And you were just like, oh yeah, she'll just be like, Alicia Silverstone from Clueless. So I thought of that immediately when I saw that segment when she's like talking smack to them. And I was like, oh, I want to see that group so bad. Because there was 3 of them
Yeah.
in Clueless. So I'm
When
like,
you
if
when
I
I
could
saw
have
that in the
Piper,
Notion doc, I was like, I could kind of see that actually.
I would love that as a face group. Like, I mean, but that's the thing. They're all kind of, well, Clueless, they're bitches, they're like mean girls. So, or I
Yeah.
think they're supposed to be. Um,
They're
Actually, they're
vain.
not. They're
They're
actually they're
vain.
not. They're just vain. Yeah, they're
Yeah.
clueless. Literally, they're
Yeah.
just ditzy women walking through life,
Yeah.
living in $1 million mansions. So yeah, I could
Like I
see
don't
that
know
as a
who
face.
I don't know
Chelsea could
like
definitely play
I
that.
guess Chelsea would be like the Stacey Dash, and
Yeah,
would
yeah,
Piper be Brittany Murphy?
I guess. But I mean, yeah, because Brittany Murphy had a makeup, or I mean, a makeover in that movie, right?
Yeah, because she had just like I believe she had just moved
Yeah,
into
because I remember she
town,
was all awkward and
and
stuff,
she was
and
just
like she
like
wasn't.
a
Yeah,
normal kind of person,
yeah,
and there's like I'm now in Beverly Hills, and all of you guys act like you're 25 when we're just 16-year-olds.
yeah, basically. But yeah, I'd love to see that. I want to see Clueless, Chelsea, Piper, and Tiffany.
Yeah,
Um, and then lastly, Blair Davenport popping up on the main roster again.
yeah,
For whatever reason, I guess she's cool with the Unholy Union, so that's why she helped them defeat Bianca and Jade
Oh,
for their
they
women's tag
lost
team title
technically.
match.
They just jumped them.
Well, yeah,
Technically, they
true.
lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they won they won the war because at least they still got
Yes.
the titles. Yeah, but yeah, that came out of left field for me. But then they did release a WWE exclusive, like just them talking about how they go back, to the
Yeah.
UK and everything. So I was like, all right, cool.
I was actually
Uh,
surprised with that, where I was like, I didn't expect Blair Davenport to come out and help, and I guess I forgot that we were gonna have a men's tag team title match as well. And I was like, oh, I guess this was going to be Bianca and Jade regaining the titles. So
mhm.
when they didn't, I was like, oh, okay. Then we had the bloodline versus DIY. I was like, oh, okay, that's where it's gonna happen. That's where the
Yeah,
title change is going to happen. So
but
more
yeah, I did
surprised.
see.
I am curious to see what comes out of that. So
Yeah, yeah, me too. Because I mean, we just got to keep the unholy union on TV. We can't forget who our tag team champions are because that happens a
is this
lot of the
gonna
time.
put Bianca? Is this gonna put Naomi in a feud?
Naomi.
No, is this gonna add Naomi to the group with Bianca and
Oh,
Jade?
okay. Sure, I guess you can gear up for that. I mean, that's just a normal like pay-per-view rotation kind of thing. So yeah, I
Yeah.
could see that for a
I'm
crown
trying to figure out
jewel or
like who would be
whatever.
the third between Bianca and Jade against
Yeah.
Unholy Union.
Yo, Race Wars Part 2. Like we just had
Race
it earlier.
Wars! Race Wars!
Yeah. Yeah, like we had the damage control one earlier this year. It was like Race War. And also I'll point out top comment. I remember this I'm only bringing it up because it did make me crack up. But
Yeah.
that clip of Blair Davenport, like jumping Jade Cargill, and the top comment on that video is like, she has no business trying to muscle around Jade. It looks like a chihuahua trying to carry a tire. Like when she was trying to handle her, and like Jade is just too big of a girl for her. Like when they were outside the ring, you see she's like, all right, how, like the math meme came up in her head, like how am I going to get her big ass up here? Basically, like she was thinking real hard. But yeah, that's it. That's all I had for it.
This was a question that they asked Jade. This was a question that was asked, I guess, when they were on Hot Ones last week. But Jade says that she is stronger than Bianca.
Mhm.
What say you? Who do you think is the strongest between
I'm
the?
sure just looking at them, I'm definitely saying Jade. Jade got fucking what, at least 2 inches and probably, I would guess, 15 pounds on her just visually. So I'm just off of look. That's why I would say that.
I guess it's more of like, how much is that functional?
This sounds like hate right here.
I'm not hating. I'm just saying, like, I'm trying. I feel like Bianca, like, I don't know what Jade's career. I know she played basketball, but like Bianca was in track, and so like your body composition in those were like different.
Mhm.
I'm saying,
And
like,
then
you don't have to be like
then
physically fit. You don't have to be that like
yeah,
physically fit to be a basketball player. For track, there is still some of like, all right, I need to be fit for what I'm doing.
sure. I would disagree with you don't need to be fit to be a basketball player, but for the sake of the argument, I understand
No,
what you're
I'm saying
saying.
you don't the like fit in the sense that like you don't need to be toned up like that. Your
Yeah,
body type is completely different than what it is in basketball.
sure.
Like basketball players don't need muscle like that. Clearly, we see.
You need height more than anything, for sure.
I mean, like again, when I say muscle, I mean I'm not saying you need to be like all skin and bones. I'm saying it doesn't need to be physically like Kevin Durant does not need to be bulging biceps,
Yeah.
right? Like Bianca definitely needs to have strong quads.
hmm
And she's probably like, not bench pressing, leg pressing like 800 pounds.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So we'll find out maybe in the future. Hopefully, they should do some type of kind of
Whenever that split happens, we got to
test the
see.
strengths. They got it. Yeah, maybe that happens when they're in their feud. But let's get to this pop-up show. SummerSlam. It said 7 matches on the card. And in the doc, Moody, I added a table for us to start tracking who we're picking to win. So we can't forget what we said next week when we were like, oh, I said this. No, you didn't, motherfucker. It's written down.
But before we say anything, this is the closest, like looking at this card, this is the closest I've been to like a clean sweep as far as like title changes. Like it is very believable that every single title could change hands. It's good enough, I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
I would say there's 3 of them that are locks that are definitely happening. And it's at least believable that the other 3 would happen for sure. But let's get into the prediction. So I was just thinking about that like previously. I'm like, oh yeah, I could see this, I could see that, you know. For me personally, like Damian Priest versus Gunther, I'm like, you've been leading this horse to the water this entire time. You know what I'm saying? Like you already gave us like the face-off of Brock and Gunther last year at Royal Rumble. Like, just stick the landing. Like, we know, like, you could make something better, but like, at least for like the story that's being told right now, this is obviously the perfect time to do it. So, I mean, you can stretch it out to like Bash at Berlin, but then it's like, hey, guess what? There's no real reason for that because you would say, oh, hometown advantage and all that shit. But he's not even German. He's Austrian. So it's like, yeah, you have the European there, but it's not like home. So it's still got Gunther. Gunther's winning.
All right. I'm going to go with Damian Priest. I'm still riding with that. I think this is part of the storyline. I think Damian Priest is going to win this fairly clean. I want to say, like, I think no, I'm going to say not even fairly clean. He's going to win this clean. This is going to be an upset. I think Damian Priest retains. I'm going to stick with that. I think he either loses this probably. I'll say Bash at Berlin.
Okay. Well, yeah, that obviously would just roll over to the next pay-per-view because there's no way that we're leaving Bash at Berlin without Gunther being champion.
I would say, like, if anything, I think, like, Finn Balor tries to, like, come and help, and Damian Priest basically, like, makes some type of contact with him to basically say, like, yo, get the fuck out of here.
That's what I was thinking as you said that. You said he was going to win clean, but I was like, or he's going to win. My thought is that's what takes it to the next level as far as like breaking up with the Judgment Day. Like if Finn interferes and he retains, he's going to be pissed. You know what I'm saying? And hopefully finally be like, I'm doing my own thing and like not.
I mean, it could become the thing where it's like Rhea acts like he's like, Finn, I told you not to come out here. And then he was like, Rhea told me to come out here.
Sure. You can always stretch it for another month that way. But yeah, you're going to have that Finn and
because Rhea was asking like, why is Carlito still around?
Yeah.
Earlier this week on Raw, she's like, why is he around? And so like this could be a way for Rhea to get back like, I'm the leader of the Judgment Day. And then
Carlito got a weird case.
I'm the leader. You know, you was gone, you know? And so like I took the mantle of this stuff, and I'm the WWE, you know, heavyweight champion. So you beltless.
I think he can. I guess it like really, yeah, that linchpin is just like, all right, how important is the Finn storyline to them? I guess. Yeah. Are we gonna get that directly after? But either way, yeah. For Bayley versus Nia, I definitely got Queen Nia. Like that, I think that's definitely not a lock, but in the sense of it should be, because I don't think. Remember how I was standing, or I still stand on the pedestal for Asuka. Nia Jax still up to this day has not been coronated. She has not had her like huge moment, just like Sasha Banks when she was back in WWE. All those title wins were on fucking Raw or they're on SmackDown. She has not been coronated at Royal Rumble or Mania. Well, Mania is the real one, obviously. SummerSlam is your other option. So that's where I feel like she's not going to get that Mania moment. This will be her SummerSlam moment. And obviously Tiffany is a part of this. She could turn. I don't know. But in the context of just straight up Nia versus Bailey in a vacuum, I want Nia to win. Or that's definitely what I want.
Yeah. I think WWE wants to give some credibility to the King of the Ring, King and Queen of the Ring. And if I already have Gunther losing, I
You
gotta
do,
have Nia
yes.
win. Yeah, it's like I gotta have
That's
Nia
literally
win.
that's the only other thought to it. Literally, where I was like, you got to legitimize the contest or the tournament. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So yeah, that did cross my mind, but I'm being bold
And
with
then
it.
I think about like, okay, so there is the factor of Tiffany, you know, being funny and trying to interfere and possibly costing Nia this match. But then, like, what happens with like Nia and Tiffany? Is like, do we just split them up at that point, or is it worthwhile to have Nia have the belt while Tiffany has the briefcase? And I feel like that might be a better storyline. But then, like, what do we do with Bailey? So I'm
Mhm.
leaning Nia Jax, so I'm gonna go Queen Nia as well. Because I think that's a better storyline of having Nia with the belt and Tiffany always there with the briefcase.
Yeah, her biggest enemy is standing right next to her,
Yeah.
basically, or her biggest threat, I should say.
So I'm gonna go with that. Uh
This is the hardest one on the card. I want to hear you on this. This is the
Liv
hardest one. It ain't
Morgan
even
versus
Cody and
Rhea
Solo.
Ripley.
Yeah, this is the hardest one to decide. I'm so
I'm
50-50 on this.
going new champion. No, retaining champion. Liv Morgan is retaining. And Dominic is going to, like I said, go look back to Stephanie helping Triple H out at Armageddon in 1999 against her father. Similar storyline. And I think Dom, he had to make Liv cry. She played it up perfectly well, to make it look believable.
Yeah, okay.
It is, mommy is no longer for Dominic. He is going to be with his white she-devil, his other white she-devil, his American white, his American white she-devil, and Liv Morgan.
Yeah.
Did you see what she was wearing at the SummerSlam? Pre-conference.
Oh yeah, the press conference. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, come on, Dom, stop playing. You know what it is.
That's where, yeah, that's also where I am. I feel like it's another situation of like the same thing with Gunther and Damian Priest. Like, you've been leading us to this watering hole for mommy to get the title back.
Yeah.
However, I feel like Rhea is more indestructible, as a character. Like, she doesn't need the title the same way that Bailey's also established, but I feel like it would hurt Bailey to lose her title more so than it would for Liv to get another one over on Rhea, basically. So,
and it just shows you
with that logic, I'm gonna go
the
with
stuff that
Liv
she did.
also.
The stuff that she did when she was gone worked. Because if Dominic doesn't help Liv, everything she did was all for naught. If Rhea has to come back and win this title on first try without the help, or even if Dom even helped Rhea, it was all for naught.
Yeah.
And I think for the fact of that Dom does help, it just shows that Liv was ahead of the game. She could have just took the belt and just left Judgment Day alone. But the fact that she got her claws so deep into Dom, it just prepared. It was an eventual, preparation for when Rhea came back and tried to get the title and was like, look, you think you're going to come back, everything's going to be the same? Nah. It's going to be so different that you think the person that you got under your finger is no longer under your finger, he's under mine.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to help me retain my title, not you get back your title. So that's why I go with Liv. This one, I think, probably is the hardest one for me. Just coming with Cody versus Solo.
Because
Bloodline
really,
rules.
separate prediction also has to be put as if Roman is showing up or not. because we've had this discussion before that we're comfortable, or I personally, I know you said that you could even see it or be comfortable with Roman not being seeing his face again until Mania. Like, granted, 6 months off is a good amount of time, you know, from early April till now. But, or that's not even 6 months. What are we at? 4 months? Or no, 5. August is the 8th month. So yeah, there you go. Yeah, where do you fall on that? Is it a lock? Because that has to be part of the prediction.
Roman's coming back tonight. I'm going to go Cody Rhodes retains. And I'm going to say Roman comes back. We hear the music. As soon as like Solo's looks like he's about to end this bitch, we hear the music of Roman Reigns. Everyone gets up and acknowledges. We see Roman come out with Paul Heyman and Jimmy Uso.
This is after the match.
This is during the match. This is like near the end of the match. Yeah,
okay,
like
gotcha.
Basically, like it's unexpected. Like Solo's like, I'm about to finish this off, and then basically the music goes off, and then basically they all basically turn their attention to Roman and Jimmy at the stage, and maybe they got somebody else. Like, who knows? But the fact that, like, I think there's going to be at the stage, and then that's going to get, you know, the bloodline out of the ring. As far as, like, the Tongaloa and his brother and Jacob Fatu, they're going to get out the ring and kind of, like, play, like, wall defender. Cody come back. Solo turn around. Rah! 1, 2, 3. Cody retains.
Okay.
Because Solo ain't winning that belt off of Cody. If anybody from the bloodline is going to win that belt off of Cody, is Roman Reigns.
And obviously, I hear that. That is very obvious. However, I feel like, why not? Like, because that would be the most legitimizing thing that you could do for Solo. Like, there's no way you can't tell him he's not the tribal chief at this point. You can't.
He says Roman is not coming back, and then he hears that music go off. And everybody else is standing up to acknowledge it. Which he's been begging people to do.
Yeah, that's with your booking for sure. Yeah, that's something else. With mine, I'd also have Cody winning. Just because I feel like it's more so wishful thinking, like the thought that I'm having right now. But he would have, like, it's almost like Aegon, you know what I'm saying? Like, where it's like, oh, he has all the symbols of the importance of the king. You know, he has Blackfire, the sword. He has the crown. That's like, he has the tag team titles. He's beat Cody and he's WWE champion. Like, there's no way that us as the public could not acknowledge him as tribal chief. Yeah, it's still really tough. I still got, you know, personally live in Dom, like, closer, like an actual, like, push. This is more like 50-48, you know.
I can see Solo winning. Like, I can see Solo winning. I can see him
for sure, because also I could see he also acknowledged already, pun intended. He was like, if Roman does come back, he's gonna come back and he's gonna acknowledge me. That's what he said. He said that already. So you might not like it, but there is a world when Roman comes back and he does acknowledge Solo, and then we just do a slow burn with him, like, and the new bloodline, basically. Or, like, not slow, but like medium burn, where it's like, hey, this ain't the same bloodline I knew. Let me go get my old bloodline back. And then, you know, we get on that Survivor Series whole train and shit. But just with scheduling, we know how quickly that's coming up. That's a lot to do to, you know, get new bloodline versus old bloodline in that time without him coming back and immediately being antagonistic towards Solo, obviously. So
he don't even have to make contact. He's just got to create a distraction. Because again, like, I don't think he expects him to be there. Cody can probably get, like, again, in that moment of time while he's distracted, wondering why Roman Reigns is here. Cody catches his breath, bloodlines out the ring. Solo turns around, Cody cutter, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, him beating Solo with a Cody cutter is so fucking sick. You're a savage for that.
Who, Cody?
Yeah, I said your booking beating Solo with a Cody cutter is savage. You didn't even use the finisher. Like, you just buried Solo with that.
Yeah, I'd take the Cody cutter as a finisher as well, because I feel like he finishes them off. But what is his finishing move called?
Crossroads. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. This move
Either
sucks. Got to use 3 of them. Yeah.
Anyway, let's get on to the next match. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna move on to the next one also. LA Knight versus Logan Paul. This is a guaranteed lock. LA Knight. This is a guaranteed lock. This is one of the locks I was talking about.
I told you I want LA Knight to win this. I don't think what happened this week with Logan Paul plays.
I don't think it affects it. No.
I think I think if he was to lose, it was already in the cards. If he was to win, it was already in the cards. Like I said, I'm going to look up right now what the fuck is this his brother's name?
Jake.
I'm going to look up what his plans are for tonight. Jake Paul plans for tonight.
He just searched that in Google.
I literally just searched that in Google.
Yeah.
I'm trying to see if he has a fight tonight.
Yeah. But there is a UFC event that's also happening in Cleveland at the same time, or the same weekend, I believe so.
He ain't UFC though.
I know that. I'm just saying that the fight game is just there this weekend.
This is. I'm gonna hate myself. I'm gonna go Logan Paul. I want to go against myself. I want LA Knight to win this, and I hope he wins this. But I got a feeling that they're gonna get his brother.
Yeah.
They're gonna find some way to help him retain this. I think LA Knight's been getting the necessary kind of rise back up that he might have cooled off a little bit. That I think this is just him losing is just gonna create more of a anticipation for LA Knight to beat him again.
I got you. If that happens, if LA Knight does not win tonight, this would be, for me, the equivalent of when Chad didn't win the IC title against Sammy, and you just said, "I'm done with this." You were just like, "I'm done with this." If LA Knight doesn't win tonight, I'm done. I'm completely done with the US title. At least it's
the US title or LA Knight,
or LA Knight's pursuit, this iteration of this feud, And I thought it was.
I hope I'm wrong, bro. I hope I'm wrong, but the money is too good for WWE.
Yeah, and for Logan Paul to go ahead and remind us exactly how long he's been champion on SmackDown. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've been champion for 282 days and only 2 title defenses." I'm like, yeah, because you suck. So for that reason, I've enjoyed they have built it very well though. I would say similarly, almost the comedy version of Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, because they've just been more so doing annoying shit to each other, like LA Knight showing up at Logan Paul's house, filming that on location. I thought that was a really good segment and stuff. So,
I've been feeling LA Knight's been getting over on Logan Paul. That I think this is where Logan Paul gets over on him.
I got you.
I hate it. I hope to God I am wrong.
Yeah.
And LA Knight wins, but green, man. That's the money. That's what WWE is working with is green.
Yeah. So. And this is the second lock for sure, because you said this already. Braun should have been champion already. So for them to just push it out one more time, it's all right, I guess you'll just have to make it happen at SummerSlam. You're establishing. If you zoom out from a Triple H standpoint, looking at your characters, it's you want to christen, if these are one of your main characters, you want to use them on the big shows when everybody's watching. So go ahead and christen them, as I was talking about with Queen Nia. Go ahead and christen him on SummerSlam. Let him win his first title, because it should have been his already.
Okay.
I think the only question is, how many spears does Sammy take? That's the actual question. How many spears until the
that's the thing
badge
with Sammy
out?
we talk about is he has the Hall of Fame resiliency badge. Only person in the WWE right now that has that badge. How can he use that badge to win again?
He's used it twice already. Once with Braun Breaker.
I'm curious to see how Ilya is doing. and if Ilya Dragunov is healthy. And if he somehow finds himself into this match, it creates a DQ.
That would be awesome for creates a DQ. Okay.
And then
sure.
we get
the title
a
stays on
three-way.
Sammy. Yeah, three-way.
And then we get a three-way at Bash at Berlin. I'm gonna go Sammy. I'm sorry. And then I'm also looking at your card. You got 1, 2,
4.
4 title changes out of 6
matches. It's the closest to a clean sweep. I told you. Like I was looking at it. This is the crowd or the stories have been built well.
And if I'm going with mine, I got what? 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have 1 title change. I should
swinging for the fences over here. I'm swinging for the fences.
Yeah, I should. I guess I should have 2. It should be Logan Paul. It should be LA Knight, but I just don't trust myself on that. I not trust myself. I don't trust WWE. So yeah, I'm gonna go Sammy.
Mm-hmm.
I think we get a DQ. He wins. He retains by DQ. I'll even write that. Sammy by DQ.
I would hate that for Ilya. Like I understand that would be so stupid of his character, just because
it gets heat on Sammy. I mean, Sammy has the right to get heat on him and be like, "Yo, I didn't need that from you."
Yeah, no, it works. I'm saying in a smart fan sense, if I'm nitpicking, you're a face, dog. Like, what are you doing? Like, just like let them handle their shit. Like, obviously, you got an issue with Braun. And you got Sammy's respect sort of already. You know what I'm saying? So they're just on opposite sides of the same coin where it's like, yeah, y'all are just clearly all around this Intercontinental title. But yeah, that's not a bad shout for real. And then have the IC title, have Ilya win it at Bash at Berlin. Or at least that's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because then that's a hard swerve from Braun, you know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Braun is literally better on the chase. Doo-doo.
Yeah.
All pun. It's all pun. And then now we get to, at least the way we have it in this order, the final card on the match on the card. CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre with Seth Rollins as special guest referee. I said when Seth was made the special guest last week that I was like, I have no idea which way this match will go. I can't make a prediction. I said maybe after Raw, and we see what happens. I might have a better idea. I still don't have an idea.
Yeah, that segment was nothing.
The segment didn't tell me give me any direction in which way this match could go. I have no idea other than Seth Rollins winning.
Seth Rollins just wins.
I don't know.
I'm the winner. Damn it.
I'm the winner. Yeah, he just curb stomps both of them, and then basically the match ends.
That's funny. No, hold on. That actually is funny. He should do that, and then since he's the ref, he'll call it no contest. You know, like they did with like Brock when Brock showed up in Hell in a Cell and just beat the shit out of everybody. And then he'll just rule it no contest, and then you get another triple threat. So you get 2 triple threat matches at Bash at Berlin. There you go. That is funny though. I want to lean towards CM Punk just because he was like the big return.
Yeah,
Drew's the best that he is, and he's like a giant child anyway. So, like, it's so easy. Like, I know we discussed it off pod, obviously. That it's just so easy to believe that he's going to cost himself.
Yeah,
you know, in this situation, because if you look at all 3 of these guys, it's a net neutral between all of them as far as energy. They all hate each other equally. So nobody's losing anything here, actually, if you think about it. It's the law of conservation of fuck niggas, basically, is like what's happening in this match. So Drew is just going to cost himself and somehow, you know, get distracted. And then you can just keep it running with everybody screwing him. Like, I love how everybody's screwing him. So, or that's how he sees it.
Yeah. CM Punk, not said CM Punk. Seth Rollins is going to have to make the pin for somebody.
Yeah.
Count the pin for somebody. I think I'm along the lines with you. I think CM Punk
also hasn't won anything at all.
He hasn't won.
So that's the important one for me in my head.
It's
And he's
technically
not in his prime. Clearly, he's an old guy.
this is
like
technically
we know.
his first match.
Yes, he's got to go over, dog. Like,
And Drew has his bracelet. He was about to be. He was going to announce that he was cleared in Chicago. Then he got attacked. CM Punk is going to do something to piss Seth Rollins off, but Seth Rollins is going to begrudgingly count 1, 2, 3 for CM Punk.
yeah,
I don't know what he's going to do. Something is going to piss Seth Rollins. Is going to be pissed at both of them, but there's going to be something that CM Punk does that Seth Rollins is going to be like, bro, we now have got, like, if we already have had issues before, now, like, this is going to take us to the next level of our rivalry. So I'm going to CM Punk with nice little end credits for a spoiler for CM Punk and Seth Rollins coming up on deck at maybe Bad Blood, because they got bad blood.
yep, that's true. Maybe I mean, the first blood match, there is a place for that. I'm just saying, personally, as a kid of the 90s, I think there is a place for a first blood. You don't need to use steel chairs in it, but just the straight up, we're just beating the crap out of each other until somebody bleeds first. Like,
Yeah.
that's the definition. That's where the term blood feud comes from. You know what I'm saying? This is exactly what this is. So,
Hell in a Cell.
yeah. And then,
always
yeah,
works.
Hell in a Cell is the ultimate. Yeah, that's the ultimate end of a blood feud, supposedly. So,
But that is the SummerSlam card. We have our predictions in the doc. We have how many differences in picks? We have
3.
Damian.
I got LA. Yep. I got Gunther. I got LA Knight and Braun Breaker. Just calling for a lot of title changes. Like I said, I'm swinging for the fences. 4 title changes. It's just what they've told me.
Yeah, it's
what they've told
gonna be
me. I'm
interesting.
following their storyline. So, like, I really like I mean, this is your storyline you added with the Sammy for DQ, but that works. Honestly, I can see that, like,
Yeah.
very easily. Honestly, Logan Paul, that would really piss me off. That would really piss me off.
Yeah, they want to piss people off, man. That's good heat.
Well, yeah, because like at that point you're missing the boat. You know what I'm saying? You're missing your moment, your perfect moment, so to speak. At that point, I'm just not going to care whenever LA Knight does win it. You know what I mean? So
if Jake Paul comes out of nowhere and right hand LA Knight after because Logan Paul's like social media buddies, his black social media buddies that always take the bumps. They gonna be there, and they probably gonna take some bumps, and he's gonna fight him off. But then he's not gonna expect Logan Paul's older brother to come out of nowhere and then hit him with the right jab.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I definitely wouldn't be expecting it for sure if I was.
And watch
Actually,
Logan Paul and Jake Paul be tag team champions at some point.
That's where I was going with it. I was like, you're literally just debuting him, so you can just transfer him over to the tag team division. Like, that's what's happening here. But yeah, that would upset me. But I just won't care about the U.S. title going forward at that point. Like, I just won't care.
Oh, they
I already don't care
about the tag team titles in any capacity, men or women.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, on Raw, the tag team titles, Judgment Day. Like, for how many times? And then the Bloodline, it's like, is that going to be just a rotating champion of like, whoever we feel like going out there for the tag team match, we'll let you know.
Yeah. I
mean, it could be any combination of any 4 of them, right?
It should be Freebird rules, yeah. It should be Freebird. That's what I would think.
So let's wrap up this show with our champions of the week. Coin flip. Who wants to go?
I'll go.
Mine's quick. Mine's quick.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine is the Anthony Fantano, aka the Needle Drop.
I just see that.
Transition.
Yeah, I know exactly what that is. That's what I was like. I didn't.
Did you love it? Did you hate it? Would you like? Would you rate it? You're the best. Title belt to DIY for being transition tag team champions. No disrespect to y'all, but again, y'all held that joint for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. So y'all got it up off of A-Town Down Under, held the title for a couple weeks, and transition to the Bloodline. You'll get it back soon enough, but in the meantime, you get the title belt. You still are champions in my book. The Anthony Fantano, the needle drop transition title belt. DIY.
Love it. Yeah, that's exactly why I brought it up. Like, these guys, I said a month, and it's like, yeah, it wasn't even a month. It was like 3 weeks. It was like, but hey, that's what happens when you gotta, put people over. Like, you gotta make stuff believable, For my champion of the week, it goes to like just the the stupidity sometimes that you just have to like put on your I believe hat, like when you're watching something. But mine is the Kevin Hart, help me, nigga. Like, title belt goes to Akira Tozawa. Do you know exactly what I'm talking about?
I think I might. I'll play the clip
Bruh.
right now.
Yeah.
I'm watching it.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Anyway.
these WWE, be quick on them copyrights.
Yeah, facts, right? But they're fighting the Creed brothers, Alpha Academy versus the Creeds. And the Creeds hit Otis with their finisher, or like, which is basically like the lariat to the seated opponent thing. And they were already doing the 2-man, like 2-on-1 offense on Otis, but they hit their finisher. Match is about to be over. You're in the pinning position. Like, the ref is counting, and you can clearly see Akira Tozawa over in his corner, like under the ropes, as if he wants to help. And he's like, no, just reaching out towards the pin. Like, we don't see every single week partners come in and break the freaking pin up. Like, he couldn't do anything about it.
Oh, yeah, he just crawls into the ring, and it's just like,
yeah,
sorry, dog.
What can I do? And it's like, Otis is like, nigga, help me. Like, what are you doing? So, like, that's immediately what I thought. When I saw Akira just sitting there, I'm like, nigga, what are you doing?
Yeah, I just replayed it back. I was like, was he trying to? I thought Chad Gable must have been like under the mat, like, under the ring, trying to like hold his leg. Nah, he crawled in. He just stopped. He's like, I tried, bro. I tried. I tried so hard.
His batteries just died in that position. That's what it looked like to me. His batteries died. I was just like, yo, Akira, come on, man. But yeah, that's champion of the week. Akira Tozawa's stupid ass. And that's from, laugh at my pain, Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
The joke when he's like telling his friend to lie for him, help me, nigga. He just like tells the truth immediately. But yeah.
All right. That is the week in wrestling. Moody, do you have any last thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, just the fact that it was another clean episode. Like, the pop-up shop prediction.
Yeah.
We're sitting at 2:30. I mean, 30 minutes for a pop-up shop prediction.
We had 20 minutes. We had 20 minutes of Percy's.
Yeah,
Percy's went a little Percy's went a little long, so it is not bad. It is not bad whatsoever. I think this was another perfectly timed episode, other than our
perfectly paced.
Yes, perfectly paced. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
One last call out for socials where people can find us.
Yeah, follow us at the Wrestling Re-Up on Instagram, TikTok, and our email. Hit us an email, thewrestlingreup@gmail.com. No hyphens, by the way, people. No hyphens.
Nope. And soon you'll find us on all podcasts once I get that set up, hopefully next week. But until next week, I'm the Habasha Hay, Samson.
The French Fry Fro Moody.
The Wrestling Re-Up, and we out. Peace.